Hey everybody, so welcome. We're still getting everything set and up and all that good stuff. So just sit back, sit tight, and we'll be getting started in about 30 minutes. Test 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna get you on there.
Stop YouTube.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lexie, and I am the lead administrator here for the One University. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all here for the process of pursuit here for Married and Young. This is gonna blow your mind, guys. I just want to introduce every panelist here. Today we have the amazing engaged couple. I would love to introduce them first because they're amazing. They're amazing. We have Kenneth Knoll and we have Raven Evans. How are you? Are you all still muted?
There we go. Hi, everybody.
Alrighty. So we're still getting all set up. So I definitely wanted to make sure I introduced you all. But give us one more minute and then we'll come right on back, okay?
All right.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys, I'm back. Again, my name is Lexie Mayfield. Hi. My name is Lexie Mayfield, and I'm the lead administrator here for the One University. And I'm just super excited, you all, for this webinar. It's going to be mind-blowing. Hey, everybody, I see you all. How you doing? In the chat room? The chat room is live right now, guys. Come on and tell me where you all are from. Hey, it's my cousin. Hey, Foxy. All righty, come on, tell me where you're from. I see New York in the building. Oh wow, it's going so fast. Okay, you all are live for real. New Jersey, Chicago, Georgia. Okay, wow, it's going really fast. Savannah, Georgia, Indiana, Columbus, North Carolina. Woo! Come on, I love this. You all must be as excited as I am. Tonight is gonna blow your minds. You're gonna be so informed. You're gonna receive so much information, and I'm telling you, this webinar is one that you definitely want to take notes on. Okay, so this is the process of being pursued, and let me tell you, each couple here. Now, I know them personally. I know every story, and they are all amazing, all amazing. So I introduced our engaged couple. Now I want to come back to you all and introduce to you all our co-founders, our founders. And these two, you all know them, you love them. Give it up for Jamal and Natasha Miller. Hi, Jamal. Hi, Natasha.
What's up, everybody? Hey. We're excited to be here tonight. It's about to be a good night.
Yes.
Awesome. And our one and only Chief of Content Officer and her husband, I'm sorry, I like to say the husband's name first because they're just dynamic. And this man of God is amazing. John and Monica Amuna, how are you guys?
We're doing well.
Hey, Lexie.
How are you? Everyone is like super excited in the chat room. Everyone is saying hi, Monica. They love you.
Hey. I love you guys.
And again, I want to introduce you to our engaged couple who both of these two, I mean, they're amazing, amazing. Kenneth Knoll and Raven Evans, how are you?
We are great, super, super excited about tonight and ready to give everybody our story and to help as many people. It's about what, 1,030 people on here tonight. So we're ready to help as many people as possible.
Awesome, awesome. We have over 1,000 participants on here right now. If you have questions, guys, make sure that you're dropping them in the Q&A. Make sure you're saying hello, where you're from, and all of your questions. Make sure that you're putting them in the Q&A so that we don't lose them and that I can keep up with them for the Q&A at the end. If you put them in the chat room, they'll get lost. So make sure if you have questions to drop them in the Q&A. And now I just want to give it back over to our founders, Jamal and Natasha Miller.
Thanks, Lexie. Y'all, we love Lexie. Like we said, give it up for her. She is our amazing TOU administrator. We're just so blessed to have her spirit in TOU, as she is truly one of a kind. And so we're pumped once again, like we said tonight, to really just give you guys the truth tonight. If y'all, that's okay. We're going to give y'all guys the real, you know what I'm saying, just the real truth. So before we do that, we want to make sure that you guys know that we love you. So we want you to introduce yourself, give us your name and where you're from. Like Lexie already did it, but y'all can drop it again, whether you're on the webpage, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're watching on YouTube, whatever channel you're watching on. Share with us very quickly where you're coming from. And we're going to just quickly, I'll let my beautiful wife, shout out quickly some of the places that everybody's tuning in from.
Yes,
and y'all are dropping it quick.
I know. It's freezing, you guys.
There we go. Cool.
We have from Houston. We have Jasmine from Alabama. We have Tulsa in the house, Omaha, Nebraska, Florida, Greensboro, North Carolina, Orlando, Aiken, South Carolina, Chicago, whoop, whoop, Atlanta, Georgia, North Carolina. Wow, it's going so many, but it's freezing.
It's a lot.
We have Brooklyn, New York.
We got the whole world in
Aruba.
here.
We have Aruba, Florida, Delaware, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi.
Nigeria.
Yes. Oh, Nigeria. Welcome, Nigeria.
What's up? We got Aaron
Montreal,
from Louisiana.
Canada,
I saw you.
South Africa,
I saw
Bahamas,
you, Aaron. I saw you, man of God.
Jamaica, Germany.
Germany, what time
Cali.
is it, Germany?
Cali's in the house. All my Cali people. Albany, New York.
What's up, New
York?
Jersey. New Jersey.
Birmingham,
Toronto, Canada. What's up, Toronto? Did I see
Welcome.
Zimbabwe? Did I say
saw
Barbados?
Florence.
I see Barbados.
Arkansas.
Oh, this is awesome, y'all. Welcome to the
Yes.
webinar tonight. We are so honored that you would take time out of your busy schedule to be a part of tonight. And we don't want to delay. We want to move forward and get this party started. Once again, like Lexie said, we are Jamal and Natasha Miller, the founders of MarriedandYoung.com. We started this 3 years ago, and God has rocked our socks because I believe that we are in a season that God is turning the tide in regards to marriage and relationships being done His way. And I believe it's because He is using marriage as a fresh representation of His kingdom on the earth. And so, and we're going to be really breaking that down tonight. But before you can get married, right, there has to be a pursuit that it's done, and we'll be breaking that down tonight. And so we're excited. Over the last 3 years, we've had the privilege of serving more than 100,000 people through our courses, through our programs, through our books, and through our blog. Many of you have found us in a variety of ways. How many of you tonight, this is your very first webinar? You've never been on a webinar with us before.
Wow,
look at this.
Guys.
That is so awesome. Well, guys, we want to thank you again for taking time tonight. And just once again, what we do is basically God has given us the grace to help prepare people for marriage. And so I want to tell you right now, the desire for marriage is a good desire. The desire to get married is a godly desire. And we want to fully say we support those that desire marriage by making sure you're fully prepared for it. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we got our good friends with us tonight, and we're about to have a party and get this thing in. So are y'all ready to rock and roll? All right, cool, fellas. And what's cool about tonight is I was showing the ladies the slides, and they was like, it just seemed like the men gonna be talking tonight. But I think it's gonna be awesome for each of you, for the men to hear from the men in regards to what we did and how they knew, but also it's going to be powerful for the ladies to be able to back up what our journey and our process was, and to hear the inside of what a man goes through, a real man goes through when he pursues his future wife. All right, so let's do this. All right, if y'all are ready, I want y'all to go ahead and drop in the chat room. Ready. Let me know that you're ready. I need to make sure we're going to have fun tonight. All right, cool. There we go. I got some ready folks. All right. Well, before we do that, I'm gonna let my brother Kenny open up with a word of prayer,
Amen.
and we're gonna kick this thing off. How many of y'all love Jesus tonight? Come on,
Yes.
somebody. All right, Kenny, kick us off with prayer, bro.
Father, we bless you tonight. We thank you for who you are. We give you praise, glory, and honor. We thank you, Father, for being a healer tonight. We thank you for being a mind regulator tonight. We thank you. And we pray that, Father, even in this chat tonight, that Jehovah's Sabaoth will begin to arise. We pray that, Father, everything that's not like you will begin to tonight. And I pray that, Father, as we begin to speak tonight, that, Father, you begin to uncover things, you begin to expose things, Father, you begin to show the heart, Father, tonight, whatever's in there, Father, that's distracting us from where you want us to go. I thank you that tonight you're giving verbiage for it. Everybody who's in this chat tonight, I just pray, Father, for the glory of God to hit their houses, Father, to hit their screens in the name of Jesus. And when they get up in the morning, I thank you, Lord Jesus, that what's being ushered in tonight through conversation, Father, will begin to prick their hearts. And Father, they'll begin to seek you in this season from now heretofore to the end of the year. That, Father, you begin to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. I thank you now tonight that you become Lord, you become Lord, you become Lord. And we praise you, we give you honor in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I can go on and on, but I stop there. But amen.
We can't hear you, Jamal.
You're on mute, bro.
The devil tried to silence me, but I declare tonight that I'm gonna come through.
Unless you want me to keep praying, huh?
Right.
I got stirred for real.
But before we go into that first part of the process, right? One of the things I want to acknowledge is the fact that it is godly for men to pursue. It is godly for men to pursue. And so what we find is there are many situations and instances where you see the man has to rise up first, right? If you're watching Lion King, you don't see, you know what I'm saying, when it comes down to Simba and Lila, you don't see Lila having to go after. It was Simba that went away into a season of preparation, and he came back and got Lila. And then you go into, I mean, I'll go into this.
Is it
Nyla? Nyla? Oh, it's not Lila.
It is Nyla.
Nyla. I almost said Layla. I almost said Layla. But anyway, you don't see that. But what you do find is in many representations of even where, I know for me and Natasha, if I hear something going on in the house, she's not the first one to respond. Who's the first one to respond?
Yeah.
Babe, can you get
I
up?
be telling her to get up.
What is that,
Check
babe?
the
Can you go check the door? So we see in different situations where it is the man that responds first. And so that's where we want to lay that down tonight. Even with Christ, when Christ came and he established his love for the church, he responded to the cry of God in regards to us being reconciled back to him. And I'm not getting into preaching, but I want to establish this, that it's biblical for the man to respond first and to go first.
Yeah.
Christ died for us first, and then now we die and we pick up our cross and follow after him.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that is a perfect mystery that gives what the biblical marriage represents, it is the Christ love for the church. And so I want to establish that tonight, that it is still godly and it's still biblical for a man to pursue her first. So let's go ahead and get this thing jumping. All right. So the first thing we're going to find in the process of a man pursuing a woman is going to be he watches while he waits.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let Kenny jump off, and then we'll all just flow, and the ladies will jump in their process of what each of these stories mean.
Absolutely. Again, Jamal and Natasha, thank you for having us tonight. It's a pleasure to share our story. And of course, Raven and I began to talk last year. Started talking last year in November. So this is around, we've known each other since May of 2014. And so it's about a year now that we've been, together. And we started dating January of 2007. And we are freshly engaged August, almost 3 months, August the 12th, 2017 is when we got engaged, and here we are now. And so I can just share a little bit about where my mind was before I even started to talk to Raven. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. And I moved and went to Atlanta, Georgia to finish my degree at Morehouse College. Yeah, the house, those of you men who are from Morehouse. And then I went to Emory University I don't think they can hear us very well. But can you all hear us now? give us some thumbs up, and say, you can hear us.
He's working on the audio.
Okay. All right, sweet. All right. I went to Morehouse College, finished my degree there, and then I went to Emory University to finish my master's. And so I had this idea of the type of woman that I wanted. Honestly, fellas, I wanted me a high yellow, light-skinned chick with blue eyes, and I wanted her to be ratchet. I didn't want her to be in ministry. But the truth is, and I can be really, really honest with you, my mind wasn't focused on what I was called to do. I think my identity was obscured. I think that I had broken identity. I think that I didn't understand what it was to pursue. I didn't even know what pursue meant. If I wanted a young lady, and I'm a singer, so I would sing my way around a young lady and spark a conversation. I would have been a father in high school twice. And so I was very promiscuous. I knew, had very vivid memories, sexual encounters and things of that sort. So I didn't know really what I wanted. So when I got to Chicago, I moved back. The Lord told me to move back to Chicago in May of 2015 after I finished my master's. And when I moved back to Chicago, Raven and I, of course, we were friends. So we would just meet at different people's houses and just have cookouts. And I would just, hold conversations with her, but it was nothing really there, right? And I think the reason why there was nothing there is because my heart was so cluttered. My heart was so full of what I didn't really understand, right? I didn't know what anything godly, I didn't know what a godly relationship was. If I dated a young lady, I slept with her 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, right? Being very transparent. So seeing Raven, I saw her as a friend. And but what happened was August of 2016, I made one mistake. And that mistake was asking God to humble me. And when I asked the Lord to humble me, I did not know that God was getting ready to take my heart through a series of tests. And what happened was I was just sitting at my desk and I began to fast. I was at work one day and the Lord just called me on a fast. And God just began to break me down. And all I said to the Lord was, Lord, as you humble me, open my eyes and open my heart. I didn't know what I was getting ready to go through. So one Tuesday night, of course, our church is a deliverance church. And I've heard this story before. My spiritual parents, Doctors Matthew and Camilla Stevenson, I heard my spiritual father talk about how he saw his wife at the altar casting out demons, right? And so I laughed at him. I joked with him and things of that sort. Like, man, that's amazing. Like, you met your wife at the altar. Didn't know that my story would be cultivated the same way. And one Tuesday night, of course, I'm leading. I'm working the altar. Got up from working the altar, and I started to pass out tissue because everybody, all of our ministers and leaders are working the altar, and Raven is going in at the altar. She's helping this woman. She's not counseling, but she's helping this woman get free from rape and molestation and things of that sort. So she's working and working and working. And what happens is I kept inching toward her, and I was like,
You kept bringing me tissues.
I was like, why am I bringing her tissue? Why am I keep going? Why am I going over there? You know what I mean? So the altar is full of leaders. And so we have at least 30 leaders that's working at the altar, but she's the only one that I'm giving tissue to.
You came back to
I
back.
came back to back. And in my mind, honestly, you all, I don't know why I kept doing it. I can say that it was Holy Spirit. And after that night, Jamal called me, and he wasn't even at church that night.
Wait, and then after that, I texted Monica, and I was like, you know what? Kenny just kept bringing me tissue all night. I don't understand.
Yeah, so it wasn't planned. I didn't have anything, any conversations and things of that sort, even in my heart. But that one conversation that I had with the Lord humbled me, and Lord, take the scales off my eyes and uncover my heart. It escalated into something else. It was a destiny move, y'all. And so Jamal called me, and Jamal's my best friend. He's my hedge. Whenever I'm in trouble, I call him. And whenever I need him. And so he was like, hey, dude, so what's up with you and Raven? I was like, dude, you weren't even at church tonight. Like, you weren't even watching no live stream. And he was like, what's up with you, Raven? I was like, nothing's up with me and Raven. You know what I mean? So as I'm driving, I think I was driving down Lakeshore Drive and going to get a smoothie after service. And I kept thinking about her. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask her out on a date. Again, let me say this. My heart was cluttered, so I couldn't see her. But the moment that I asked the Lord to humble me and the Lord began to deal with my heart, he began to transform my heart. So then I began to desire what he wanted. So when I looked at Raven at the altar, I didn't see her as the woman that I had saw since May of 2014. I saw a glow on her. It was like a radiance that I had never seen before. I was like, yo, like, it's not like I want to ask you out on a date, but it's like there's something there, you know what I mean? And so I called Monica. I was like, hey, so what type of flowers does Monica like?
Raven.
I call Raven. Who did I call?
Monica.
I called Monica, and I was like, hey, Monica, what type of flowers does Raven like? And she started telling me, and I was like, wait, am I moving too fast? And I talked to Jamal about it. I talked to my other best friend about it, Darius, and I was scared. I was nervous. I was like, what the crap is happening to me, right? I was so nervous that I began to, I did a walk in the park. And I prayed about it. I was like, hey, God, like I'm about to make this move. Like, is this you? And asked Raven out the next Sunday. I was like, hey, you want to go out with me? She was like, yeah. And we went out. And so we went out the day after Thanksgiving. So it's about that time for us again, a very special time for us to remember. And it's the Lord. And here we are a year later and a day.
So for you, just to kind of dial back, what was your period of watching Raven before you said anything? How long was that period?
So that period, I would say, honestly, for me watching Raven, I started to watch her early part of 2016 and she didn't know it.
So how long about that's like almost a year, or it is a year?
It was maybe 6 months. So
right there. So, and we want y'all to hear that for the men and women tonight.
Yeah.
We all have similar journeys where for Kenny, it was 6 months of him watching Raven before he ever said anything to her.
Yeah.
A word to her. So he watched her while he was waiting, and while she was waiting, she was at the altar working altars. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in just a bit. I'm gonna let John jump in and share. John, what was that process for you, bro? Before you said anything to Monica, how long did you wait? And what was that when you observed her, watching her? What caught your attention? What was that process like for you?
You know what? The interesting thing is that my process was I came from a background where I hadn't been in a relationship for so long. So to see Monica, especially on the platform that she was that she had, I had dealt with a lot of intimidation and a lot of insecurities, and a lot of them were just flaring. And even though I knew that I desired to be with her from the very first time that I saw her, I was hit with insecurities. I was hit with thoughts, is she going to accept me? Hit with the fear of rejection during that entire time of even just watching her. I even, part of that watching process, which was about 6 months, part of that watching process was actually a conversation with one of my best friends at the time, where I just wanted to just ditch the entire plan of even just approaching Monica. And I still remember to this day where we were outside of a cafe, and I was just telling him, and you all probably have seen it, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but in the video for our wedding, he gives the testimony where I was just honest, and I was like transparent. I was like, man, I don't even know if she's interested in me. A lot of those insecurities played out in so many different ways that I didn't even know that I had within me. But I was even asking, like, I don't even know if she's interested in me, even just thinking about just ending the entire thing. But he said, John, you're the man, as you can tell from the video. And but for me, a lot of that watching was just seeing the type of person that Monica was. Actually, the interesting thing is that during that watching, I was also talking with my pastor about Monica. And I remember in one of the conversations that I had with him, I told him that Monica she does videos on Periscope. And he was asking me, he said, well, have you seen any of her Periscope videos? I said, you know what? I started to watch one. I said, but I didn't want that to be the way that I first got to know Monica. And he said, yeah, he said that, okay, I can understand that. That was wise. And so over 6 months, I was just hit with a lot of questions in terms of, am I able to do this? I understood the platform that she had. I understood the ministry and the calling that she had. I understood how vast it was even at that time. And so for me as a man, I was just, I'm pretty much, I would say that I was a confident man, but in that moment, during that 6 months, I was hit with curiosities. Should I approach her? How can this work? You know, even just thinking about being financially ready, thinking about how the approach is going to be, thinking about all the other guys that could be approaching her. So, you know, with someone like Monica, as beautiful as she is, as, you know, gifted and anointed as she is, I was just thinking, not only is she the one, but I said, am I the one for her? So that was a big question for me.
You're preaching, man of God.
Yeah.
You're preaching. Nah, man, everything you're saying is so powerful, because I don't think women understand. You went through all of that before you even said hello to Monica.
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was. I didn't even know who he was.
And he's having a whole 6-month battle with himself about whether he gonna go up to her and say hello. This ain't about marriage. This ain't about putting a ring on her finger, having babies. This ain't about being together forever. This is just simply, am I confident and secure enough to even go and say hello? And I always want to tell women that you got to be aware that men of God truly are in a place where, and we're going to talk about this in the next slide, where they really are wanting to make sure that they're in the right season before they go into pursuing, because we always think, okay, if I pursue, this is what has to happen afterwards. Because we're not just looking for another friend girl. We ain't just looking for another person. We're looking for a wife. And that's what he's looking for. And I just want to flow right into my journey, because I didn't get a chance to see Natasha in person, right? You know, many of you don't know. If you don't know, I met Natasha on Facebook. We were completely on Facebook. One day I was scrolling through and I just saw this pretty woman of God. I was like, man, who she is? I ain't never seen her before. And her last name was Sembrano. And at that time,
I had a little Hispanic in me, a little.
I was convinced that I was about to marry me a mixed Black Hispanic girl. And so I was like, all right, I mean, the Lord done it too. He done it, boy, right on Facebook. So I went to her Facebook page, just doing a little scrolling. And then I see that picture of her praying for somebody. I was like, this woman of God is she in purpose. She in destiny. Then I went to her blog, saw that she was like talking about singleness, how she was content, she don't need a man, wasn't looking for a man. I was like, yes, man. And so from there, honestly, I saw her page. People always think that I just messaged her the next day. No. Y'all, I didn't message her for almost 9 months.
Yeah. You messaged me in the fall, right?
Right. I saw her page and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is dope. And I did not message her for a whole 9 months. It wasn't until 9 months later of us actually I ended up, finding her on Instagram. Yeah. So we started doing a little Instagram flirting. You know what I'm saying? Where you like the picture.
He was doing Instagram flirting.
Well, he was like all
my old pictures.
Hey, you know how you do that? I'm like, I'm gonna send her a little message, let her know. And so that was that process. But it got to a point to where I just really wanted to know how we didn't know each other. And so that's when I slid in that DM. Come on, somebody. How that song go? In the DM. No,
it's like no.
In the DM.
I don't know anything.
How the song goes. So anyway, so once I messaged her, but the thing before I even messaged her, I want to let you know I was watching her Facebook posts. I was looking at her profile pictures. I was stalking and I was seeing what kind of woman she was, because I knew the moment that I did make an attempt to message her or approach her, that I had to, be real or be responsible for my communications and for my actions. And so that was very important for me, but I definitely evaluated. So one of the key things, we're going to move forward to the next slide, is you all see all three of us were watching before we moved forward, pursued. Sorry, guys. But what I want to allow the ladies to do very quickly is to share where they were in their season of waiting, what they were doing very quickly. Whoever want to jump in. Praise God.
I'll go. So for me, in my season of waiting, as you can tell, I was really just tapping into the Lord. I did a lot of identity work, a lot of soul work, just trying to make sure that I was completely healed and whole before I entered into any type of relationship. I was really focused on purpose. I was really focused on, doing the Lord's work. I was really focused on just my community and my friends and different things like that, enjoying my life. I wasn't a person that was, waiting like, when is he going to come? When he's going to come? That really wasn't me. I had moments where I felt like that. I had moments, of course, any normal person does, that desires to be in a marriage. You have those thoughts, when is he going to come? But I wasn't consumed with it. So I really made sure that I was still working on me, working on my soul, making sure if I got in a relationship, I didn't destroy the relationship, because I had all these issues within me. So I really made sure. And then at that, I still I also wanted to make sure, when a guy did want to approach me, that I worked on my ability to, communicate and not like have man hatred in my heart. I don't want, he's coming to talk to me, I don't want to repel him, you know what I mean? Or reject him because of things that I may have been through in past relationships and different things like that. So it was my objective to make sure I was healed, make sure I was whole, and that I continue to do the work of the Lord by having my identity in place and not allowing that to be unstable in any way.
Yeah. And then what about you, Monica? Where were you in your season of waiting?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can tell from all three photos here, like we were all really pressed into a season of purpose. You see Natasha ministering there, Raven ministering there. That was me with some of the kids during children's church when I was the children's pastor 4 years ago at our church. So I would say, just to piggyback off what Raven said, I had actually just gone through a really bad divorce about a year and a half before that picture. And so I was really taking that time to make sure that I got healed and whole, not only from my actual divorce, but what had caused that, which was father issues, undealt with soul issues, weaknesses, insecurities. So just like what Raven said, I was really being conscious about my healing, conscious about purpose. But one more thing I'll just add that she didn't say, but I know she did do, is we also had fun, and we didn't wait for life to start, because ladies, men don't want to pursue boring women. So church is wonderful, but have some other things going for you as well. We all were starting our own businesses. We all had our own dreams. And we also were having fun. I remember going to a pumpkin patch this year with Natasha. Raven went with me for my 25th birthday to Mexico this year. So we were traveling, being great, having fun, and not waiting for our lives to move on after we found that person, which is extremely attractive to a man, because a man who is pursuing a woman in purpose wants to see, how does she steward her purpose, so he will know how she can help be a helpmate to his purpose as well. So overall, just being well-rounded.
Yes, and just to add on to what everyone's saying, I was walking in purpose as well. I was just really just pursuing God and doing what he laid on my heart to do. I was hosting like many conferences in my community. I was helping to mentor even some of the teenagers at my church. I was really active in my church. I was traveling and visiting family, visiting friends, going to concerts, and really just enjoying my season, and really being intentional with the season that I was in, and knowing that, ultimately I'm not going to have this forever. So God, allow this time to be purposeful, so that when I do get married, I will have something to give to my spouse. So yeah. I'm very glad that I tapped into the Lord and I tapped into purpose prior to meeting Jamal.
I love it. And just to kind of cap off this point, and the observation piece is seeing that, ladies, none of us had that love at first sight moment. Mm-hmm. All right. So that whole fairy tale that it's love at first sight, when he see me, he gonna know immediately. God gonna speak to him. He gonna drop a rock from heaven and bust him in the head and make him fall down and be like, that's your wife. That stuff, I'm sorry. It may happen, but reality is that it's fairy tale. And you've got to let go of this fairy tale story, thinking that immediately when he see you, he gonna just, his whole body gonna just quiver and just everything gonna change. And he gonna know that his soul done found his soulmate. We don't believe in soulmate. We don't believe there's only one person you can marry. So we really do believe that God blesses when two people are in the right season, his peace will be there. But looking for this perfect person, that perfect person doesn't exist. All right, I'm gonna keep on going and not bust that egg too well.
And I have one more thing tonight. I think tonight a lot of us women are really going to have the ability to give these men grace.
Yeah.
Because we're really going to be able to see how they process things.
Yeah.
And I think it's really going to alleviate a lot of unnecessary pressure that we put on them. Mm-hmm. So yes, ladies, listen.
And one thing I want to say is One thing I want to say is that it's not that it doesn't happen. It does. Right. It can happen, but it usually doesn't. All right. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to sit here and eliminate, because I know our pastor, Dr. Matthew Camila Stevenson, the first time he saw Apostle K doing ministry at the altar, he immediately knew that was his wife. Mm-hmm. And so it does happen. But I'm just saying, be careful not limiting God to one story. You got it, Kenny.
Here's another thing too, because I know we have a lot of guys online, and so of course we hear a lot, about how women prepare themselves, or how Monica and Raven and Tasha gave a very great example of how they were in the seasons before actually being pursued or approached. But the truth is, myself, Jamal, and John were caught serving and working as well. So all of us were in ministry, all of us were men of God, and of course we'll get to that. But of course, I couldn't wait to meet my wife. I was praying about it, fasting about it, but of course, I was immersed in getting an education. Right now, I'm finishing my doctorate degree, and so some people are different, you know what I mean? But I think guys need to be focused on what they're doing in seasons of singleness as well. And sometimes don't feel bad because you're single, because you're a guy that's single, because in our culture, it seemed to be weak. You know, if you're single, if you don't have a woman, you know, family asking you why you don't have a woman, or, you know, why you ain't with nobody. Last time you brought a girl around for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that. But if you immerse yourself in the Lord and you make sure your identity is secure when you see her, and when you get ready to pursue her, I think it'll create this conglomerate of just peace and joy and happiness. So the women have to be called into work, but the man has to be working as well.
Yeah, that's good.
I completely agree. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and go into point number 2, which is going to be basically, once a man does observe, the next thing he's going to do is ask God before he moves. That's what a man's going to do. He's going to consult the Lord before he moves. And I'll let each of them journey in. But I know for me, before I met Natasha, that first time I was like, okay, God, you know, am I in the right season? Am I in the right place? I know what's going to happen. We kind of all talked about this already. So I'll just go into the next one. But a man of God, before he pursues and says anything to you, he's going to consult the Lord. All right, but let's go ahead and go into this next one, which is where he makes his intentions clear. All right, we'll just kind of continue to go in the line of Kenny and John, then me. You go ahead, and Kenny.
Absolutely. So after consulting the Lord, I think our first date, I said to Raven at Starbucks, I was like, I'm on a destiny pursuit. And we were just kind of talking through that. We hadn't really made anything clear. That was in last November, before we started dating. And we just kind of became friends through that process. And in that process, I started to ask the Lord, like, okay, well, Lord, this thing seems real, right? My heart begins to turn at that moment. And what happens is everybody asks me, well, how did you know that Raven was the one for you? Raven was the one and is the one for me, because things begin to go off like an alarm, like my destiny, like it was a destiny move. You know when that person is the one, when you get more verbiage about your destiny and your call. So what happens to me was I started to dream about me being in Africa. I started to dream about me healing broken people. Things like I had never ever experienced that. Now Raven is she's a dreamer, so she dreams every night. When I met Raven, I start to dream every night. So I mean, and even now, like my dream life is going crazy. And these are very prophetic dreams because I'm connected to the right one. It was a destiny thing. And so I started to ask the Lord, like, God, this woman works the altar. She prays. She's beautiful. She wasn't thirsty. She wasn't thirsty. I mean, that she was the type of woman, like, she came to church. She was classy. She wore herself, her ministry well. She spoke well. When we came around, she was very quiet, but she was just a woman, a lady. And so I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if this is you, make it clear to me. So we were getting ready to go into January 2017 to our fire conference. And I said, God, I need to know now. Why? Because I'm in a destiny pursuit and I don't want to be around just dating a woman. I want to marry the next woman. I need to start my family. I'm ready to travel around the country. I'm ready to minister. There are people that I'm called to, and I need a woman who's connected to not just my destiny, but my story and my history with you. And if she's connected to my destiny, my story, and my history with you, that has to be the one. And what happened was, me and Raven, I couldn't wait to talk to her every day. I couldn't wait to text her. I couldn't wait to ask her how her day was. She would ask me, and then she was patient. She's a counselor by nature. Both of us are counselors by nature. And so she would ask me deep things. I'm like, well, what the crap? Like, why would you ask me that? Like, it was just an exposure of my heart. And so what happened was, it was just really clear to me. I was very nervous. I was very scared. I was like, God, I don't even know what this looks like. And the Lord just made it clear. I felt the peace of God. We went on our date January 21st. January 21st of 2017. And we went to Z 451 downtown Chicago. And we had good food. And we only had one mimosa. But we sat there and we talked about what what we wanted our journeys to look like and what we wanted ministry to look like.
Yeah.
And I simply said to Raven, I was like, I don't think we could be friends longer. She looked, she was like, what do you mean? I was like,
I was in complete shock. I was in la la land. I was like, I had no idea that that was going to happen. I don't know what I was focused on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't come with any intentions that I was thinking that that was going to be the day that he wanted to move forward. What I was going to add to that is, in order to be, when you're in a relationship and you have a man or with a man that has so much purpose and destiny, you want to make sure that you're able as a woman to be able to stand by his side. So if I did not take the proper time to make sure that I was fully, engrossed in the Lord, that I knew who I was, that I was fully prepared to be able to handle his ministry, to be able to stand by him, support him, and then still be strong for myself and have identity and understand that my identity is not found in him. I'm here as a helpmate, when I get married to a helpmate to him. So I'm supposed to complement him, not necessarily complete him. So it's just this whole thing of knowing your identity and being strong in who you are, and really being intentional about preparing yourself, because when that door does open and you have the opportunity for a man to see you as a woman, you want to make sure that you're heel hold and that you have something to offer him. Because if I didn't take the time out to really work on me or to understand my gifts, my purpose, what I'm supposed to be doing in this earth, he would look at me and be like, well, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I have all this purpose, all this potential, all these things that I'm supposed to be doing, and you're just sitting there, pretty face with nothing to offer. So you just want to make sure that you have more than just a pretty face and a name to give to someone.
yeah, absolutely. So after consulting the Lord, we made our intentions clear, and I was like, let's do this, and we did.
I love it. And so
amazing,
if you can just hear what I want to point out with Kenny's journey was immediately him being honest and transparent with the Lord. And one of the things that I know I had to do the same thing, and I'll let John jump in before I, mess Natasha again to establish, hey, this is what I want. I mean, I was nervous as heck. I was so nervous. And so I want to establish even with Kenny how he was nervous, but at the same token, he went through with it because the Lord was giving him that peace. But then once he talked to Raven, he didn't go to her being like, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. No, he was clear because he had dealt with that with God. And then once he got to Raven, he was clear with what he wanted. So I'm going to let John jump in now and talk about his journey.
Okay, so I was actually going to just piggyback off of that because I was going to talk about how nervous I was at first. And the interesting thing is that this was the first time that I was actually going to be doing it like this the right way. I would actually say that for most of my life, I had either not been in a relationship, even in terms of my dealings with women in my past, or the way that I entered into the relationship was probably not the right way. So this was the first time that I was actually going to be doing it the right way, going to be doing it God's way. And this is the first time that I said, you know what, I'm not just, if I take this next step is, I have to be very, very, very clear and concise about where this is going. And for me to be able to talk that out and to say, you know what, let me be clear about where I was going. This was going to be one of the first times. This is going to actually be the first time that I was going to do that. So, but the conversations with people around me, the conversations with my support, the conversations with my apostle, those things helped me to talk them out. And they were almost like practice for me. And I can remember even getting ready to send a text message before I made Monica my girlfriend. I remember sending the text message to my apostle. I sent it once, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Do you have any objections? And then I remember holding off for a long time. And then I sent another text message. I'm getting ready to do this because it was like jumping into deep water, and I was just, every time that I talked it out, it was almost like practice with Monica. And for me, Monica's not wearing it now, but I actually, she says in her jewelry room, but I actually went out and bought her a gift on that night. And I just wanted to make it, a special night. I went out and bought her I call it the Holy Ghost is a dove. I had to choose between a heart and the dove, and I chose the dove to represent the Holy Ghost. And I gave it to her and was intentional with her that night in terms of wanting to make her my girlfriend, and also with the intention of going forward with this and being serious with her and looking forward with this, and not just stopping at a girlfriend and not just saying, hey, you know what, we'll take it day to day, but really saying, let's see where this is going. I really believe that this is something that God has put on my heart, and I want to make this more serious and take the next step.
Man, I love it, man. And I think I love the process that you had to go through. And one thing we love from John's journey is he immediately involved his counsel. He went to his counsel, and his counsel is what walked him through, which is very similar to my journey, my story. Because basically, I believe at the moment that I met Natasha the first time, just like asking her, hey, who are you? How do I know you? At that moment, it was more of just like, let me just throw this out here. Yeah, I wasn't like being like, hey, I want to pursue you. It was more like, let me just see what's going on and who this is. And then it was maybe another 3 or 4 months.
I think
when I first messaged you.
You messaged me like in the spring.
And then I messaged you. And so what happened basically 3 or 4 months later, after we kind of, continue to get to know each other on Facebook, one day I was at my pastor's house and he began to ask me about my love life. And I was like, man, what love life? And which he never does that. And the reason why he did it was because our pastor, his wife had a dream, and she had a dream about my wife and basically saying that she was not coming in a way that I would expect, and I was like, what? And he's like, so is there anybody? And I was like, nah, there's nobody, And then when I said that, I was like, but you know what? I was like, there's this girl. We've been kind of like going back and forth on Facebook a little bit. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, so basically, because I hadn't told him about her at this point. And he was like, well, who is she? I was like, well, her name's Natasha. I was like, she loved Jesus. All right. I was like, she really loved God. He's like, well, show me her. So I pull her up on Facebook. And when I pull her up on Facebook, he was like, she is beautiful. I was like, I know. I was like, but man, she probably taller than me. Come on, can you tell? Like, look at her, like she's got to be taller than me. And he was like, and he immediately called his wife. He was like, babe, we found Jamal's wife. And like, and then like she comes down the stair and immediately starts evaluating all her pictures to determine if she was taller than me. She's like, she's not taller than me. She's about right under you, like maybe a half an inch shorter than you. And he was like, babe, Bishop, I think you should message her. I was like, and say what? I was like, this girl live in California. This girl is far away, but this is the moment. He was like, if you mess her at this time, you just got to be clear. Like, you want to get to know her. And that was, that night, I contemplated, I went back and forth. I was like, man, I can't do this.
You sent the message
gonna reject me.
Early,
I sent that message like 1:30 in the morning, and so I finally did it. And basically I just established like, hey, we've been going back and forth on Facebook, but I really would like to get to know you. From what I've seen, you are a true, genuine woman of God. And what you see there in that message, even though it was a DM and it was very not non-conventional, I still made my intentions clear. Yeah. And basically that picture is after 3 or 4 months of us talking via Skype and on the phone. Finally, I invited her to Chicago, and that's us meeting for the first time face to face, which that entire process is a lot of teaching moments in there. Yeah. But all in all, it was then once we met face to face that this point we were just friends, getting to know each other. And I remember the night before she was coming to Chicago, she was like, so like, what is this? Like, what is going to happen? I was like, hey, so, okay, before we talk about that, that's something we got to talk about. And I'm going to make this quick. It's funny. I was like, so one thing we haven't talked about before you come here is this, women, I've had great success with women really respecting me, and I was like, but there's like this one thing that we got to kind of talk about. You know what I'm saying, that women have had issues with. And then she's like, what?
I got super scared. Like, I'm like, is this like catfish or something?
And I was like, well, I'm a little height challenged. She's like, are you like a midget? I was like, no, I'm not like a midget. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we went,
oh my God.
So we went through that whole thing. And so that was the night before she came to Chicago. And I remember whenever she came to Chicago, she was like, well, basically what's going to happen? I was like, hey, when you get here, we will talk. And that's one thing I want to share there is when she got to Chicago, our first date, we sat down and we established what this is going to be. And I made my intentions clear to Natasha, and we entered into a relationship. But I want her to share, because I know for you, and the ladies can all share possibly, what was it like the moment that we made our intentions clear? Yeah. What was that moment for you?
Well, for me, just to give like a quick backdrop of just even my single season, that Jamal, he was my first, serious relationship. I didn't have any boyfriends prior to him. So when I had met him and he was pursuing me in this way, I knew that I wanted a godly man to pursue me, but I didn't know how that would exactly look. So even though I knew God, I knew how, I knew my worth, I knew how God wanted that to look like, there was still some fear there, to where even when he did state his intentions, that I was still kind of reserved, like, oh my gosh, this is kind of overwhelming. I need to go home. I need to pray about this. I need to ask God. I need to have this peace in my heart. And in that moment, so we were sitting in the restaurant, and he was very direct. He was very clear. And that also brought me peace. But I knew that, you know what? Hey, I've been in this single season. It's been me and the Lord. I really want to get before him and get his heart about it. And immediately after I went on the plane and I went home and I prayed about it, it was like the Lord, it was this instant peace. And it was like, he was like, you can make a choice. It's your choice. I approve of him. And once I had that approval and I had that peace in my heart, I went ahead and I proceeded. And from that moment forth, everything just, went really well. So I'm grateful for his patience too, to where he knew in his heart, that he wanted to be with me, but he still allowed me to go through my process. And for that, I will forever be grateful. He was patient with me. And ultimately, once I had that peace with Daddy God and I spoke to my family and those that were close to me, it was on. So yeah, that was my process of him.
And so, I mean, we just want to kind of establish that, because I know a lot of people think that we both were just kind of like, you feel the peace and let's do this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that. Immediately when I made my decisions clear, she was like, I got to go home. I need to process this. This is a lot. And for me, I was like, okay, no, absolutely. Go take the time out that you need. And for me, I was like, God, it's on you now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that was that. It was, Raven or Monica, were there any apprehensions for you? I know just even small one for Natasha, I wasn't everything she thought her husband was going to be. I remember on our first date, she literally picked up my legs.
I didn't do this on purpose.
Yes, you did.
I didn't do it on
she
purpose.
picked up my legs and was like, oh my God, look at your legs. They so skinny. I was like, now, woman of God, my legs are skinny, but my bank account ain't come on. So,
it was all new for me, but I remember doing that. And everything that I would say, he would always come back with something confident. Like, and I was just like, man, Natasha, you making a fool of yourself, because you're over here saying all this stuff and he's not moved by it. So,
and so like, that was something that she challenged that. She's older than me. So she challenged me being older. She was like, but I mean, you're like younger than me. I was like, if you ever feel like I'm a younger man, then we can end this. Other than that,
I remember I was in the car driving.
If you ever feel like that, then we can end it. But until then, a number, what is it? Whatever they call it, right? So we ain't never had that conversation since then. And so I want to just kind of establish that as well, the apprehensions that definitely are there. And the next thing that we did was establish even for purity in regards to Natasha never being kissed. And man, we established all those things in our first date. And so, but our process isn't like everybody else's. Right. Monica, Raven, y'all had any apprehensions that y'all want to share?
I will say, like, even with what Natasha said, I just want to tell the ladies, I feel like a lot of times we have this expectation that as soon as we meet a guy or a good guy approaches us, that we have to be like head over heels for him, and we'll have this butterfly feeling, and we'll fall in love. And even though I respected John, and even though I thought he was attractive, there were moments where, he would say things, especially, when he made his intentions clear, when I was just kind of like, okay, how do I really feel about this? I don't know if I'm there yet. And, one of the stories that popped in my head was the first time John told me he loved me, I said, thank you, because I just wasn't ready for it. And so I want to tell you guys, and it kind of scared me a little bit, because I was like, okay, God. And I promise you guys, I had to go home and pray, because I was like, okay, God, do I not like this guy? Because here's the honest truth. I had never been pure in a relationship before. So sex had always colored my feelings, because anytime you have sex with someone, you become bound to them and tied to them in a way that you're not supposed to be tied to somebody outside of marriage. So it made me have marriage feelings for people, butterflies in my stomach before I was actually married. So because we chose to do it in purity, I was like, okay, God, is this really how it's supposed to feel? Because typically in relationships before, I'd be just head over heels, almost blinded. And so as the process went on, my feelings increased, and I tell him I love him now. And before, but also, ladies, don't tell a guy something before you feel it, because be honest with him. And I told him, thank you. And you know what, just like Natasha said, he remained very confident. He continued to tell me he loved me every time we got off the phone. And every time I would be like, thank you, God bless you. Have a great day. And then eventually when I did feel it back, me, I'm real deep. So I sat him down, had a whole conversation like, okay, I want to let you know that I do love you, and here is why I love you. But, you know, and I did say it back. And another thing, just like Natasha said, you know, John wasn't what I expected or what I had dated previously as well, height-wise. So he is taller than me. But, you know, I remember being at Dave & Buster's, and it was so funny, Natasha, because when you started telling your story about Jamal's height, John turned to me and said, "You gonna tell the Dave & Buster's story, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." So we were at Dave & Buster's, and John looked at me, you know, he's a prophet, so he's very prophetic. And he was like, "So what is your type?" And I was like, "Well, typically I date, you know, taller guys, very athletic like this," and started naming off stuff. And he just got straight to the chase. So he's like, "So does it bother you that I'm short, or I'm not, she didn't say short, but does it bother you that I'm not like 6'2"? And I was like, "Well, you know, that's not just typically what I'm attracted to." And he looked at me with the most confidence in his eyes, and he said, "Guess what? You can wear heels. I don't care if you're taller than me. We can take pictures." Because, you know, ladies, let's be honest, we're thinking about those Instagram pictures. Like, is it going to look weird in our wedding pictures if he's taller than me? He was like, "I don't care. You can wear heels. You can wear high heels. I don't care, because guess what? I'm an attractive man, and I'm confident in myself, and I don't care even if you were taller than me, but you're not unless you have heels on, and it doesn't bother me. But if it bothers you, then I was okay before you, and I have God now. And if you want to end this because I'm not the right type for you, we can end it, and I'll be just fine." And I was like, okay. And you know what? I needed that moment to really, because even, you know, just in my past, sometimes I had been one to kind of push guys around. And in that moment, he showed me two things. One, he was confident and he didn't care about his height, and I could still wear heels and be taller than him in some pictures and it'd be okay. But two, he also showed me that he didn't need my affirmation, or he didn't need my pat on the back to love himself or be confident in himself, and that I was not going to run this relationship. And so I needed it on so many levels. So, you know, I would say just for me, there were those apprehensions there, but him, you know, staying true to himself and giving me the grace to, you know, when he said he loved me, he wasn't like, "Well, why aren't you going to say it back?" He gave me, just like Jamal gave Natasha time to process, he gave me the time to say it when I was ready, but still in his own confident way, kept saying it every time and was okay with me saying thank you. So, you know, just this whole idea of fairy tale, butterflies in the stomach is just not real.
Now, I mean, so, and I love it. I love the honesty that we're all bringing to really sober everyone up in regards to the process. And one of the things that I want to say is, I know that a lot of times we like, you know, the question is always, you know, well, I want to marry her. And we'll talk about the next one is, the question is always, well, do you love her? Do you love her? And it's just like, y'all, that is such a very unclear, ambiguous question, because I don't believe the question should be, do you love her? The question should be, can you love her? That's the question. Yeah. And so it don't matter if you do or do not, because the reality is you love your dog, you love your fish, you love your cooking pot, you love your microwave, you love a whole lot of stuff. But the reality is, can you love those things the way you're supposed to love them? And that's the thing that you have to evaluate when it comes down to being in a relationship. It's about, is there a capacity in me to be able to love her the way that she needs to be loved? Because love is something that's going to evolve over time. And so it doesn't matter how much I love a person if I can't love them. And so that's the thing that needs to be more stressed when it comes to, I think, relationships and making the choice of choosing a person. It's not based upon can, you know, do you or do you not. It's based upon can you or can you not. And that's the factor. And so, Raven, you want to jump in? Apprehensions, woman of God?
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, my story is a little different because I was in a relationship for 5 years prior to being single for 5 years. So when I got out that relationship and I was like, I'm not gonna be with anyone until, you know, I'm not gonna date around. I didn't have the desire to date around. My thing was, I don't want to waste time, because I felt like I was in a relationship for 5 years and I felt like I wasted time. You know, 5 years of my life that there was no fruit from that. There was no, you know, product. There was no end result, you know, besides me being in a relationship for 5 years, hurt, pain, all those different things. So I was saying that I was not going to date around, different things like that. So my prayer was, Lord, do not let me waste time. I need to know for sure that when I do get in this relationship, it's from you. And if it's not from you, don't let me enter it. Don't let me entertain it, anything like that. So I actually, before me and Kenny met, I actually had a dream about Kenny. And I had a dream, which is very interesting. I never tell people to go off your dreams, okay? So let me just bring some clarity to this, okay? Number one, I never dream about guys. I had never dreamt about a guy ever before in my life. Secondarily, we had not met before. So I didn't even know how I knew him, why he was in my dream, wasn't thinking about him, wasn't thinking about dating, wasn't thinking about any of those things. So I don't want to encourage you to start dreaming about someone and you think that that's the one. That is not the case here at all. The dream basically had a couple things in it. I was talking to a person who was also dating another person that was shorter. And then in the dream as well, this person, or he was talking about a tangerine being his favorite fruit. Now, Kenny is a health fanatic when it comes to eating. So that was a telltale sign, number one. Secondarily, my best friend, Monica, was the one that I was talking to. And she was actually dating a guy that was shorter. And at the time when I told her the dream, she was like, oh, that would never be me. That would never be me. That would never be me. I don't know who you're talking to in this dream. And then come to find out, Monica actually got engaged in a relationship and things like that before me. So it just confirmed what I had dreamt about was actually him, and that the Lord was telling me that it was okay. And because I had been hurt before, and I had so much, I had so many cautions, when it came to dating, the Lord really had to confirm it to me prior to me entering into the relationship so I could feel the peace. And as well, God confirmed it over and over and over and over again with me. But I told him I do not want to date for a long period of time. I've already wasted enough time. So my thing was, Lord, he needs to make his intentions known as soon as possible. So I didn't pressure him to do so. I was patient, and I trusted the Lord that I had already given the Lord my heart, who is my father. And I know that he does not want me to be in a situation where I felt as if he was letting me down, in a sense that he wasn't being a father to me. So I made those things clear in prayer. And Kenny made when he asked me out to go on a date with him, his intentions were clear. When we had our first date, he made his intentions very clear. And then we only dated, 2 months, 3 months? November, December, January, it was only 2 months.
No, so we start talking November. We start dating officially January.
We started talking in November. We started dating officially in January. And he made his intentions known then. Yeah. And then after that, we got engaged. So from the whole process was, I'm going to give you the details. I'm going to tell you what I want. I'm going to tell you, different things like that. And that's exactly what I prayed for. So number one, you need to make sure that whoever you're going to be in a relationship with, make that prayer known now. When the man of God come, woman of God, whatever, make those intentions known. As a man of God, do not be, don't what's the word? Lead on. Yeah. Don't lead on a woman and not give her the details and different things like that. Do not lead her on. Be a man, step up and say what it is and say what it's not. If you're not ready for it, then don't do it. But make your intentions known. And ladies, do not waste time with a guy that will not make his intentions known.
And I'll say this just off of that leading on, because God, it is bad, and all the guys can attest. As much as a woman lets you do, the man will take. As much as you give, the man will take. And it's sad to say it. I know even as a man of God, before I met Natasha, and she put boundaries up and she held her own, but had standards. When a man sees a weak woman and he's weak in himself or in a place of insecurity or in a place where he's not ready, that's where you find that counterfeit spirit, because they're not ready and they encounter a woman who's not ready. And that's when you fall into a place where you end up compromising and doing things that you regret. And so that's one thing I want to say that it's so powerful. You got it, John.
I was going to say one thing that I really appreciate about this slide is that it talks about intentions. And we were talking about how the guys are making their intentions clear. And I think that one of the things that we came into an awareness about was that in order to take the next step and to progress in the relationship, it was going to be intentional. And things don't happen just by happenstance or just by coincidence. You don't go into the next step or to the next level or to a greater depth of a relationship just, because it happens. And so, if you don't make the intention, or if you aren't intentional, in the relationship, then you'll wind up, going around in circles and wandering. And I think that was probably that brought some of the hesitation and brought some of the checking to say, is this really, what I believe that God is leading me to do, is because we're taking an intentional step and probably being more intentional than we have ever been in our lives.
Yeah. And that's it, guys. And it really is one of those things that a man has to come to a resolve in himself. A man cannot be forced by a woman or pushed by a woman to make a decision. He has to make a decision in himself in order to be secure in that decision and know that he's responsible for it, not because he was manipulated, controlled, or forced, or pushed into something that he was not ready for. So let's go ahead and move into the next one that I believe, ladies, why, and for you men on the call as well, this is so important for you to have this type of person in your life. And this is the prayer you got to be praying, because I believe that the reason why we're seeing a lack of pursuit happening in our culture is because of fatherlessness. I do believe because there's less men that are giving that model to younger men on how to treat a woman, how to pursue a woman. And each of us, I know for me, my story, my dad did not teach me how to pursue a woman. He was nervous that I was living another lifestyle because I was keeping myself celibate and pure before my wife. He didn't understand that. And so I learned how to pursue a woman and what to do. And I'm sure all of us, we all have the same spiritual father and pastor, is we invited someone else into our process. And the last thing that you need to be doing is doing it alone, man of God. Don't try to do this alone. You're going to fail, right? You do it alone because the thoughts going in your mind, the racing of, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? All that stuff is going to come. And so we are all blessed. And it's so cool to see our journeys and our stories. And I almost get emotional because,
I know.
you know, because I mean, he's been a part of our processes and he's been here. He's been faithful to it. And this is the prayer we got to pray, that God would raise up fathers, that he would raise up fathers that would turn their hearts to sons, and that he would begin to, I know y'all get mad at men, y'all get mad at them because they're not pursuing y'all. It's not their fault. It's really the father's fault, right? And the reality is that, but these men are turning into fathers and we're repeating this cycle, and that's where it needs to be broken. And so we all invited, I'm getting into preaching right now. So we all invited people into our process that we can trust, that were able to help guide us and keep us on the right track. And I mean, we're pressed for time, but gents, if y'all want to jump in and share any bit here, or y'all good? I know we're really pressed for time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Amber J made a point. Amber, you made a point about you being in a relationship where the guy you felt led on because he had intentions, and it turned out that he wasn't ready. Perhaps it's because he didn't invite anybody into his process. And so what that process looks like is we were very afraid. If you are fearful, even before you get to the altar, there's still some fear, because why? Your life is changing. You're getting more verbiage about your destiny. You're getting more clarity about certain things. God is humbling you in areas. Why? Because you know that marriage is a death process. It's a death process where you become less of yourself and more like Christ. And so dying to that, entering into that dating phase with intentions, into engagement and marriage, you end up hitting this brick wall because you got to fight against everything that's been in your family, every secret that's been in your family, everything that you've done, all of your past. You got to hit that. You're up against a lot. So it's not easy. The process is not easy, but you have to fast, you got to pray, and then you got to invite community, because there are times where you feel like, man, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. You need a brother, you need a Jamal or a John to help you say, hey, man, you can do this. You can get to the altar. There are many people, many men who are getting ready to propose, who are very scared right now, and not that they don't have the right intentions, but they don't know what life is getting ready to be like for them, because life is changing, life is shifting, things are not the same anymore. So it's that point where you got to invite some sober people in your life. How many of you every day you haven't had a good day? You had some days when you want to give up. You had some days when you were depressed, some days when you felt rejected, but you needed somebody to talk to you in your ear, say, hey, you can make it. And when they gave you verbiage about it, you felt better about that day. That's the same process that men have to go through, women have to go through before they make it to the next step. Why? Because the enemy of your soul, the enemy of your past, your mama's demons, your daddy's demons, the stuff you grew up with, the stuff that the fears of moving from one home to another home, feeling like you're gonna be poor, survival mode, all of that stuff, it shows up in your relationship. So you're like, I like this girl, I like this guy, but I don't think I can do it. I really want to make it, but there's nobody to talk to you, to push you. You need destiny pushers, and that's what that process entails. I thank God for Jamal and John, and for my other best friends who are still pushing me in this engagement process, because again, I love Raven. I'm excited about marriage, but my God, my life is getting ready to change. I'm getting ready to be a husband. I gotta get a place to stay. I gotta make sure our wedding is paid for. I gotta make sure that I'm still serving in business. I gotta make sure I still have a job. So I have responsibilities. I gotta take care of her. I'm still her protector. So all of that is a fear thing. But you need some destiny pushers. Why? Because fear is going to come up. But you need somebody who can pray for you. John would text me in the morning and say, hey man, I'm praying for you. We bind the spirit of fear, things of that sort. So you need somebody to break fear. Why? Because your life is getting ready to shift.
That's good. And I want to say, even the prayer is beyond praying for fathers, it's praying for brothers, you know, it's praying for brothers. And for you ladies, it's praying for sisters. Sisters you can have that will have your back, that will push you to be greater and better. This is, I promise you, that is so much more important than you getting a man right now.
Yeah.
Like, is you having covenant friends, like for real, because if you're not a good friend, you're not going to be a good spouse. Like, if you can't be loyal to your friends, how you think you're going to be loyal to a whole person that's living with you, taking your money, eating your snacks, all this stuff? How you think you're going to be loyal to that person and you can't be loyal to a person that got to go home every day? All right. And so that's reality. And I don't have time to preach into that and get into that, because we are, you know, in our time, but right now we are establishing that you can't do relationships alone. Number one, you can't do it alone. And the next thing we want to establish is he proposes. Bump all this 1, 2, 3, 4 years dating. Bump all this stuff, man. Like, the reality is, if you're not having sex, I don't know how y'all lasting for these 4, 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, so folks in here that's really trying to do it right, you need to know whether it's God or whether it's not, because when you got feelings and emotions and you in love, you liking each other, spending time with each other, if you know that it's it, please propose. Just get married. If you ain't got the money, go to the courthouse. Like, go to your pastor's backyard. You know what I'm saying? Sit in their kitchen and get this thing done. Y'all can save for a wedding later. You know what I'm saying? You was not Kim Kardashian and need a 50-minute. Who was the other person that just got married?
$1 million?
No.
Oh,
what's
the
her
makeup
name?
lady. Jada Kiss or?
Oh, I don't know. We all out of the world. Look,
he was in jail. Now.
Gucci and Keisha.
Well,
all right, so y'all don't gotta be doing all this stuff. I want y'all to have pretty weddings, because we all were blessed, and we are. And the reality is that we want you to be blessed in the wedding, but don't let this whole we gotta have a powerful bomb $1 million wedding stop you from getting married. If it's it, it's it. So one thing that, and I'm sorry guys, we kind of on time. So we proposed and we made our women know that we are here forever. We didn't just carry them on and make them not wondering what's going on. So one question I want to ask is, Kenny, how long did, quickly, because we're over time.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to know that Raven was the one?
It took me about 5 months.
5 months. John?
I would say about 1 month.
1 month. So Kenny and Raven, how long did y'all date before you proposed?
7 months.
John, how long did y'all date before you proposed?
6 months.
Jamal, how long did you propose? Ask me.
How long did you wait to propose to me?
Yes.
How long? You remember?
6 months. So 6 months, y'all.
Jamal, how long did it take you to know she was the one?
How long?
That was like 3 months, because once I saw her face to face,
oh yeah,
I was like, this is it. She looked the same on Facebook.
And you know what, Jamal? I would say that it took me 1 month to know that I wanted to be serious with her. Over the course of like a couple months, it was like, I'm gonna propose to her.
Got it.
I want to say something too, and I know we pushed for time. I know a lot of people are like, what? 6 months, 1 month, 5 months. A lot of us, the foundation of that, we've never had successful marriage relationships in our families. So a lot of us don't know this whole 3 month, 5 months, choose and move forward. It's because there is, we may have grandmothers who've been married for 60 years, but they've never told their story. We met at 16 years old, but it went longer than that. Or we have people in our family who've had sex before marriage, and so they made their decisions perhaps based on sex or security. So we don't know the godly way to do it. I think if you focus, a lot of us are not humble. If you focus and you ask the Lord to humble you, open your eyes, it doesn't take long. God will do just that. He'll open your eyes and he'll humble you.
And real quick, what I saw was future, and what I also saw was the ability to resolve and move forward. I saw the Holy Spirit move in her heart, and the Holy Spirit move with me to be able to come together with an issue and then move forward. And I was like, okay, we can do this.
I wish that we can continue. I know we pushed for time. Somebody said, how do you even know them within 6 months? Guess what? You get to know them until the day you die. Even when you get married, you get to know them every single day. You learn them every single day.
One of the questions that we had a couples night, and we asked the question of, what are the things that you've learned about your significant other that you did not expect to know about them or learn about them before, whenever you were getting to know them? And this is for married couples. You will never stop learning your significant other. Never stop. All right, so we're gonna keep. So one of the things I want to say tonight, and how many of y'all enjoyed tonight, and y'all like, man, if there's more of this, please let me know. If there is, y'all. There's a lot more of where this came from, and I'm about to let you in on some things that the Lord is leading us, has led us to do, that is changing the course of how relationships are done. One of the things I want to establish is that none of our stories are the same, and what I want to tell you is that there is no one way to write one love story. God does not write one story the same. And what I want to say is that we all have something that is very synonymous in our journeys. And each of us have different things that we did, actions that we did. But there's one thing that you all can agree across all of our stories that we had in common. And that was we were prepared. We were prepared. We had spent an intentional season single, and we were all able to say we were successfully single. We were healed, we were whole, and we had accountability. We had support. We had counsel. We had these things in our lives that helped us to have a successful dating relationship, and now marriage and process to get to marriage. And so this is important for each of us. And I want to establish tonight that your story does not begin when you meet the one. I know everybody thinks I'm just waiting on my love story. I'm waiting on my story to begin. No, guess what? Your story does not have to begin when you meet the one. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Your story can start now. Your story begins when you decide that you want to be fully ready for your future spouse. My story began when God said, Jamal, you so focused on getting married, you don't know what it takes to stay married. And I was like, well, God, teach me how to stay married. And God took me on a 2-year journey teaching me about me. That's what he was teaching me about. Because he was like, before you can learn somebody else, you got to know you, man of God. And I was like, yes, sir, I hear you. And that process took 2 years for me. But I want to tell you, it don't got to take that long, ladies and gentlemen, for you to learn you. So it took me that long because I didn't know what to guide. I didn't know what to do, what books to read, what stories to do. I was going to conferences, marriage conferences. I wish I had this stuff right here, but I was doing all kind of stuff to find out, how do I stay married? And for many of you tonight, I know you are so like drowning in like, oh my God, I'm frustrated, I'm mad. Where is he? Where is she? Is she coming? I want you to turn your gaze away from him or her. Where is she? Where's she coming? How's she coming? Who is she? Who is he? Is he there? Is he there? And I want you to look right at you. Yeah. And I want you to evaluate you, because you can't control him or her, but you can control you. Yeah. And if there's anything that I know that's powerful, it is the fact that when they do come, you can be confident in saying, hey, I've been waiting on you. But not only have I been waiting on you, I've been preparing for you. Yeah. And it's because of that. That's why we created, y'all, this thing called the One University. And many of you have heard about it. Many of you have probably seen some of our messages. You've seen some of our emails. But tonight is the night for you to make a move. Because I believe that God is moving on many of your hearts right now, that you are ready to get serious about your preparation season, that he's moving on your hearts for you to be able to enter into this thing that we call the marriage preparation season, that begins when you say yes to becoming everything that God destined you to become. When you say yes to becoming the person that God can entrust to be with somebody else and share your life with somebody else. This is what we have entrusted our lives to help thousands of men and women break the cycle of divorce, break the cycle of counterfeits, break the cycle of bad relationships, break the cycle of dysfunctional relationships, and get into a place where you can be who God's called you to be and wait on the right one and make the right decision and have a healthy God-centered relationship. How many of you right now tonight, there's more than 2,000 of you watching, are interested in learning more about this thing called the One University? I want to see a show of hands. And I don't want y'all to leave. If you know that God ain't moving on your heart right now, I pray you are blessed. I pray you're encouraged. But I do believe there are hundreds tonight that God is saying this is the time for a new season. You've been operating under old information. You need new revelation, new information to help catapult you into a new place and get you closer to your destiny. Well, I'm excited tonight to talk about the One University, as we are in a place where it's 1 year old, y'all. It's not something new anymore. We've had more than 5,000 members come inside the One University. There are hundreds of members right now. They're going to be dropping. They're going to be talking in the Facebook group and in the chat room. But I want to talk about TOU and break it down so you can make a decision tonight whether God is saying yes to join us or no. All right. So the One University will guide you through our life-changing 3-phase journey that God took me through. God took me through a 3-phase journey before I met Natasha. that helped prepare me for her, to finding the one. While drawing close to God, we believe that you cannot have a relationship with a significant other if you don't have a relationship with God. You should not be developing history with a significant other if you have not had history with God. Next is going to be healing from your past. This is one of the most important phases because you've got to spend time evaluating the things that you've done, why you did them, the impact that it has on your future, and get healed from it. Deal with it and heal it. The next thing is we're going to move you into preparing for your future marriage. And this is one of the most practical stages in it because we're going to begin to break down what is love. How does love work in the Bible and in the earth today? We're going to break down how to date, how to court. What you heard tonight, y'all, was nothing. We have over 25 courses inside of the One University right now that are all handcrafted and done by some of us here in order to guide you through this process. And so phase one, I just broke it down. It's called the foundation with God. And so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but this stage, we're going to make sure that you come out into a place where you are secure. You're going to be reading your Bible more, praying more, hearing the voice of God more. You're going to be at a place where you're going to be considered what we like to call a friend of God. You're not going to look at God like he's over there. He's going to be right next to you when you get done with this stage. You're going to be able to see the real benefits of having a relationship with Jesus because your relationships are going to change. You're going to change. You're going to see yourself different. You're going to see other people different. Stage one is so impactful that our members, some of them are still on stage one because they like, I just want to make sure I am good with God before I move on to the next stage. And this is one that I believe is the foundation. We're not in here to do no get man quick stuff, get woman quick stuff, get married tomorrow stuff. That ain't what we on. We on some get your life together, get your heart together, get your mind together, and get your relationship with Jesus together. I know I'm preaching, but I just love this and I'm passionate about it, and it's a place of grace that God has given us. The next thing is going to be focusing on you. If you don't know you, why are you over here trying to get to know somebody else? So we have a whole phase that is focused on learning you. This is going to be healing from your past, discovering your purpose, understanding your future, understanding your friends, understanding your fears, your insecurities, your downfalls. Y'all, and we have a whole session on deliverance. I ain't going to tell you because I ain't trying to scare y'all away, but we got a whole session that breaks down deliverance and renunciation and breaking soul ties and being able to get rid of all the junk from your previous season so you can be able to be whole and confident for your future significant future person. You know, so focusing on you is phase two. Monica has a course in phase two. Raven has a course in phase two. Kenny has a course in phase two because they both teach and they didn't even know this. They taught y'all. Y'all got to come in and just see it so y'all can see that they was teaching together before they even was liking each other. So it's real dope, you know. And so they both have courses inside of the One University and they all teach there. And so Monica's journey has been one that is completely, I believe, transformed a lot of different men and women's lives because of what she went through and how she was able to be restored back to a whole place, to be married again. So you guys need to hear her journey, her story, and it's in TOU. The next thing we're going to go into is preparing you for your future marriage. And this is where Natasha, she shares her journey of me pursuing her and breaking down what did this thing really look like with being a woman of God, being pursued, position yourself to be found. That's one of the key courses that she teaches, is really being able to know, are you in the right season to be found? This is all phase three, but most of TOU, they not here. They not in phase three yet. They still in stage two and stage one, but we have a lot of folks that have completed. So how many of you right now, this sounds like, man, this sounds like something I need to be a part of, right? So we seeing a lot of hands being raised. So I want to break down how you're going to be able to enroll in the One University tonight, because I believe God is ready for you to start a new season tonight. So if you don't believe me, right? If you don't believe all the hype, believe me, believe Natasha, Monica, John, Kenny, Raven. If you don't believe us, right? You have to believe the people that have experienced the life change. And I'm going to read off, I'll let some of my others, or Natasha, you can read off some of the stories that of people that have their life have been changed in TOU.
Yes, so we have a message from Hortensia Lowe. The first Bible ever that I purchased arrived in the mail yesterday. All this time I've been using the app only and have rarely opened the one my parents gave me when I was much younger. I started reading the Bible this morning. And when I was done, y'all, something weird happened. I believe I hugged this book for a good 5 minutes. Tears started flowing as I felt overwhelmed and grateful for God's love for us. Of all my possessions, this suddenly feels like the most valuable gift I have made to myself. This would have never have happened 6 months ago. Thanks to you and Jamal and Natasha for changing my life. I have decided that the Bible will become hubby for the that's hubby ever for the next 365 days. Can some of y'all share the plans and strategies that have worked best for you while reading the Bible? So these are actual messages that are posted in the One University.
And this one says, hey, TLU fam, I'm on stage 2. This is our famous stage. Lesson on let go of the old and embrace the new. These are letters and prayers I wrote to a man whom I thought God told me would be my husband. At the end of last year, I realized this was becoming an idol and put the notebook away in a drawer. After listening to Monica's lesson, I got the notebook out, tore the pages out, and burned them. I realized I was still kind of waiting on this fairy tale of this guy whom I only met once would call me out of the blue, ask me out, and confess his love. I'm giving it over to God. He will work that out if it's supposed to happen. I still plan on writing future letters to my future husband, and they will be addressed just like that. Dear future husband, not anyone's name. Lesson learned. And this is Anna. So you can read it, babe.
I've been watching phases 1 and 2 over and over again because I'm just in shock with how God has been really waking me up to my purpose in Him. I thought that I knew what my purpose was before, but after watching these 2 phases, I could do nothing but sit down and tell Jesus that I do not know it all. I could do nothing but sit down and tell Jesus that I do not know. Am I repeating it?
I spent these last few days.
I spent these past few days just doing an examination of myself with the Lord, and passion just began to scream from within me. All I can do is weep and thank God that He sent me here to tell you. This is what I have been in need for years now, and I'm really just in shock.
And so this is cool because you're seeing some of the people that are getting new life. But guess what, guys? We don't just stop with singles. There are plenty of couples that are inside of TLU as well. This is Rachel, and Rachel was one of our, we just love Rachel to heart because she completed the entire 7 stages of TLU. And I love what she said. For her, it was not coming out in a relationship. She was celebrating that she wasn't in a relationship because that was the first time she was actually successfully single. And so this is a powerful story right here. I love it. And we have more, guys, and we don't have time tonight to read all the stories. But I love it. And one of the things that we love about, even with Caprice, her and her boyfriend came into TLU dating, and then they learned and got themselves together in regards to how to do it God's way, and now they are married. They are married. And then we love this story because this is Demetrius and Lakeisha. Now, mind you, TLU is not a dating site, and no, do we not encourage folks to come in there and thinking they're going to find a significant other. But Demetrius did. Demetrius and Lakeisha met in the One University. They both were completely single, and we don't have time tonight to go through their entire story. But basically, he says here in his message, he says that we all know that the intention of this Facebook group is not to spark romantic relationships, but to prepare ourselves to be the godly spouse that the Lord has intended us to be. Within the midst of preparation and following God's purpose, an unexpected relationship sparked. And I love it because this is them. We went to their wedding, and we were able to be a part of their day. And I want you to hear from them what he had to say.
How you guys doing? TLU, this is Demetrius.
Keisha here. We're ready.
We tied the knot, and we just want to tell you guys, it is so worth it. Waiting on God, doing things God's way, and it is amazing. And we're just so blessed what God did for us, showing us purpose, and really finding ourselves in it.
Yes. Don't give up in your waiting. It is so worth it. It is so worth it. Wait for God's best, and you will be so happy that you did.
You're my best.
So you see there, guys, that the One University is changing lives. Folks are getting married, breaking off bad relationships. And I believe that many of you, like I said tonight, God is calling you into TLU. He's calling you into a season of sacrificing all the things you've been doing and saying, God, I want to focus on you. All right, so we've primed you up enough. How many of you are ready to learn how you can enroll in the One University? We see all the hands. I love it. I love it. Let me go to my next slide. All right, but before I tell you, we do have some fast action bonuses. We're going to be doing Q&A, but we do have, for those that enroll tonight, we're going to be giving you some special bonuses just for you. Bonus number 1 is Doctors Matthew and Camila Stevenson, our pastors, the one you saw. They tell their entire story. when you meet the one, how to process and protect a God-ordained relationship. You're going to get this absolutely free when you enroll tonight. The next one's going to be project versus partner, how to discern the potential of a relationship. This is by our good friends, Jerry and Tanisha Flowers. Now, this next one is crazy. I'm going to be giving away tonight only, for those that enroll tonight, the Online Singles Conference 2016 sessions, only for those that enroll tonight, right? So this is a crazy deal, $197 value. You'll be getting this absolutely free when you become a member of the One University tonight. This is so dope. Saturday, we're doing an entire online conference called Single for the Holidays. Well, guess what? It's absolutely free for TOU members. So when you enroll tonight or tomorrow's our last day, you get Single for the Holidays absolutely free. That's happening on Saturday, an entire day. All of us are teaching. Monica's teaching. Raven and Kenny are teaching. We're all going to be teaching on this day. You want to be a part of this. Jerry and Fatisha Flowers, Dr. Jill Joe, Ashley and Powers, you definitely want to be a part of that, right? So one thing we want to say is that there is an absolute money back guarantee. If you just get into TOU and you're like, man, this place is whack. I don't like it up in here. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's going on up here. I'm good. You got 7 days and we won't argue with you. You can email us and we will refund you your money. There's no contract. You can cancel at any time. Now, the way TOU works, it is a monthly membership or a yearly membership, because we want to make it as affordable as possible. So what we've done is we've given you access to all of our courses, and there's a lot more that we do in TOU that we haven't even told you. But one of the powerful things about TOU is the community that you're going to be able to get to know, the friends you're going to get to build. This is all a part of it, right? So how many of you are ready to join the One University? Well, it's only $30 a month, comes out to $1 a day. I could let Monica come in here and hit y'all upside the head about Starbucks drinks and hair and all this stuff she be saying that folks be buying and investing in. Well, I want to challenge you to invest in yourself. I want to challenge you to take your single season serious and say, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give God my very best. And that is what it's all about. $30 a month or $199 a year. That's it. That's all it is. $200 is the best deal, because you're getting 6 months free if you do the math, right? And so we want you to go to enroll now. How many of you, and when you enroll, we're going to be shouting your name out, letting you know, welcome to TOU, marriedyoung.com/TOU. Tomorrow is a final day to enroll because we are shutting down enrollment until 2018. Right? So this is the time to join and get in and get the amazing bonuses. And it's pretty sure in 2018 that the price of membership is going to increase. Why? Because y'all, we're over 3,000 people. So we are like, things are breaking and stuff. Like, we got to be careful with all our servers. Like, we got to be real careful with how many people are in here. So we have to increase the price to really control the amount of people. I know y'all may say that sounds crazy, but that's just how things have to go, because, we want to make sure we continue to have the best experience for our members. So right now, you better get in while it's still good. And so before the price increases. So it's happening tonight. How many of you right now are making a decision to enroll tonight? I want to see me. I see it. Lori raising her hand, Deanne's raising her hand, Latoya raising her hand, Vivian raising her hand, Kalina. We have Ariel, Ruth, Chiku, Maria, Denara, all kind of people's names. So it's $30 a month. Go to marriedyoung.com/TOU and you can enroll now. And so as you're enrolling, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, for those of you watching live on Zoom, it is $30 a month. And I just want TOU to go ahead and just drop in the chat room what they believe TOU's done for them. And while we do that, is it okay if we pull in a TOU member? Are y'all cool with that? Before we jump into Q&A, I'm gonna pull in a TOU member and let her kind of share her journey. Brittany, let me see if I can find you, woman of God. There we go. And she's gonna just share quickly what God has done in her life with being in TOU. So give us a quick second, and we'll give you guys time to go over there to the website. There she is. Hey, Brittany.
Hey.
So Brittany is a current TOU member. She's actually what we call, she hasn't been officially ordained yet, but she's one of our scribes in TOU. She takes all our notes for all of our sessions and all that stuff. She's it. So Brittany, share with the people tonight what TOU's done for you.
Okay, so hey, I'm Brittany. I joined TOU back in August, so I'm fairly new, but it's an amazing experience. I think a lot of times we are scared to invest in ourselves, or we don't value ourselves enough to really want to put the money forth to do so. But TOU has changed my life in more ways than one. I think the biggest thing for me that it has done was it has forced me to look at myself. And we don't like to do that. We don't like to look in the mirror. We don't like to face our demons. We don't like to look at the skeletons in our closets, but that's something that TOU forces you to do. In the grand scheme of things, if you ever want to be in a productive relationship, you have to be able to do those things. So TOU has taught me how to look at those things and how to face those things with grace and with confidence. One of the biggest things about TOU that I love the most is our community. Right. Our community is the truth. If you ever have a problem with accountability, or you ever have a problem with your consistency, your commitment, if you need encouraging, like everything you need, you find in this group alone. I have found like life people in this group. Like you guys were talking a little while ago, if you've been watching the whole thing, like we were talking about covenant people and destiny pushers, I found my covenant person in this group. I've talked to this girl every day since July 30th, every single day.
I know that, Brittany.
We're not even in the same state, mind you. She lives in Ohio, I live in Tennessee. I just got back from visiting her in Ohio this past weekend. She came and visited me in Tennessee last month, and we talk every single day. And if it wasn't for Married and Young and TOU, like I would have never known this person. Wow. And so it's great, y'all. Like I promise you, it's great, and you want this in your life for real.
Thank you. I mean, y'all give it up for Brittany. Yeah, that just blessed me so much. I didn't even know. That is so dope and so cool. You guys, Brittany's just one person of literally thousands that their lives are being changed and transformed. I know Natasha has a story of one of the ladies that was in her mentorship program, was in TOU, that is now engaged, and we got to meet another couple at one of our church's conference that is a dating couple, and they're long distance, and they're doing the thing that brings them together is TOU, because they're able to do it together. And so, guys, this thing is revolutionary. What's powerful is you come in single, and I tell our singles all the time, like, you're gonna find somebody, you're gonna find someone, and you can bring them in TOU, and y'all can do this together and ensure this thing is done right. And so that's powerful. So we're going to go ahead, Brittany. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. We love you so much. We're so grateful to have you. You guys can get to know Brittany when y'all come in TOU. She's our scribe.
Yep. Commenting on everything.
Comment on everything. She let everybody know. She keep it transparent at 100. We love it, and everybody do it. So Brittany, we'll see you later. We'll see you in the group.
All right. Bye.
All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some Q&A. Monica and John, Kenny and Raven, are y'all cool with doing some Q&A, answer some questions? All right, and we're going to give you guys time. Right now it's 9:30, so we're going to give about 15-20 minutes of Q&A to answer some questions. And what we'll be doing, I'm going to jump over here and see some of the names of the people that are enrolling, and shout your names out, but we'll go ahead and throw some questions. Monica, if you want to kind of jump in there, or is Lexie coming back to kind of help? Maybe
I'm here.
Oh, come on. Hey, Lexie, what's up? Yeah, she was ready.
But I got to get myself together.
I mean, she was like, yes, Lord.
I'm still single out here. I got to get myself together.
Yeah, Lexie after dark.
In the room tonight. There's thousands out here, Lexie.
Hello. Okay.
Our lead administrator. So she helps organize our monthly gatherings, our challenges. She helps to manage our community. She's the one that y'all go to when y'all got issues and problems. She talks to you. She passes you. She is it, right? So this is Lexie at the door, right? So we're going to see the door. Right at the door. So Lexie, go ahead and jump into questions, the Q&A, and start asking. You can kind of delegate who the question should go to.
Okay. Well, the first thing, and I've gotten this question maybe a good 20 times. Can you all give your ages for everyone?
Absolutely. I just turned 28.
I'm 26.
I'm 26. I'm 26. I almost said 27. I'm 26.
Almost.
I'm 26.
I'm 33.
I'm 31.
I'm 42.
Everyone was really.
He didn't say his age.
Oh, he did not.
Age.
I forgot.
He's 27.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Sasha almost forgot.
I'm 28.
No, you 27, Jamal. Stop.
It's 28.
I'd be like, you really don't know. I mean, your birthday is 1989.
Our birthdays are like 11 days apart.
Wait, y'all. Kitty, you 28. He's 28.
Kitty, how old are we?
Oh, I didn't know.
We're 28, bro.
Okay, we see, man. You don't even know how old I am. You know how old I forgot.
I cannot. The main thing that everyone wanted to know was the age differences.
Oh, okay.
They just wanted to see like how many years apart and things like that. But we've gotten that question. Okay, now 25 times. So, because everyone is really intrigued by you all. I have a question, and this one is for Raven. And as the questions are coming in, I have to continue to scroll. But we have like almost 200 questions. So Raven spoke in another webinar about not dating for a period of time. What did that look like? Was she not holding conversations, not giving or talking or taking numbers, etc.? In addition to not going on dates, how did she know she was ready to date again?
That's a great question. So during my season of singleness, there were potentials. There were people or guys that were interested in me. However, I did not entertain anything that I felt like was not the Lord. So I made sure that I prayed a lot about just making sure, God, if anyone was to pursue me, let me have peace, number one. Secondarily, let me know. I don't want to open up the door to just dating randomly. I don't want to open up the door to just, anyone that has interest in me, just entertaining them. So I was very strict on those boundaries. I really made sure that was not my heart posture. I was really focused on the Lord. I didn't go out on dates. So there was no movies, going out with just friends. There was no, you could take me out to lunch and stuff like that. If I felt like this was not going to lead into dating or courtship and then, further from there, then I was not going to entertain it. And then the Lord was really strict on me. So my life is not really set up where I can just do a lot of random things. The Lord convicts me about a lot, and he just makes sure that I'm on the right path. So I was just very intentional about just making sure I didn't entertain just anyone. So that's kind of how it looked for me. And then when Kenny came along, it was confirmed multiple times, and I felt peace to move forward. I felt like then, after I'm going through a process of healing, feeling very much so in a sober place, where I didn't feel like if I got in a relationship, I would leave the Lord, or if I got in a relationship, I would get distracted by the relationship. I went through a lot of soul work. I went through a lot of identity work, and then I felt stable enough to enter into something. And that season, I knew that I wasn't going to be distracted, and I didn't feel like marriage was the first thing on my mind every day. I wasn't thinking about it day and night. It wasn't consumed with it. It wasn't something that I was in fantasy land with. I was very much so focused. I had gotten to the point where singleness was okay for me. Like I didn't desire, to be in a relationship per se. Even though I did want to get married, it wasn't something that was the first thing on my mind. I told the Lord, when it happens, it happens. Granted, it took 5 years, but I was okay with that because I knew that the Lord was processing me. I knew that I was going through my own process to make sure that I was healed and whole to enter into a relationship. Now, everyone's process may not be 5 years. Some people, it may be 2 years. Some people, it may be a year. It's different from everyone. But I know for myself, having a relationship with the Lord, knowing who I was, knowing my season was very important to me.
That is so good. So good. I actually have a question for Monica too. So it says, Monica, after you became the girlfriend, how did you not fall into doing wifey things? Not including sex, but just wifey things.
Yeah, that's really good because I think, like Kenny mentioned earlier, and I thought that was a really great point, bro. Sometimes it's really hard for us to understand what a healthy relationship looks like when, no one else in my family, was saved growing up. I've never seen a godly relationship. My mom was divorced 3 times. My father was divorced 2 times before he passed away. So I just, I really wasn't sure how to not do that. And so I think the biggest key for me was, 1, of course, following the leading of the Holy Spirit, 2, having really transparent conversations with my friends. So, even I remember Raven like really pushing on me at times, like, hey, you know, how is this going? How is that going? How much time are you guys spending together? Are you still seeking the Lord? Are you still hanging out with your girlfriends? Are you still pursuing your purpose? You know, and just making sure, you know, even there on a friendship level, having that accountability. And then the third as well is just having that. So I believe accountability should always be on 3 levels. So the first level of accountability is upward. So I had, you know, my spiritual parents, our pastors, who would call us and be like, hey, are you guys keeping your hands to yourself? Hey, you know, when you guys go, if you know, I remember one time our pastor saw us post a picture on Instagram when we were out to dinner, and I was looking, you know, I was in a little tight dress and he was in a suit, and he FaceTimed us like, what time are you going to have her home? Please let me know when you have her home. So having that accountability upward. And then, you know, I remember talking to my mentor and my pastor, and she was like, hey, you know, have you lost yourself in this relationship? What are you still doing to make sure that, you know, Monica is still her own person? Because to be honest, I had accountability around me, because one thing, just to be really transparent, that I had done in the past was lost myself in relationships. So I would meet a guy, and because I had daddy issues and never had that affirmation from a father, I would do whatever it took to maintain, you know, that relationship with that man and to maintain his affirmation. You know, I tell people the first time I ever had sex was to convince a man to stay with me, because he said, if you don't do this, I'm leaving. The first time I ever smoked weed was because a guy said, if you don't do this, I'm breaking up with you. So I had always done whatever it took to make people stay. And that was from a place of transparency. So my friends knew that, my accountability knew that, to where they were able to ask the right questions. So you have to be transparent with your accountability in order for them to hold you accountable, because if people don't know your weaknesses, they aren't able to hold you accountable to them. So, you know, being really transparent. And then as well, I'm just going to be honest. There were times where, just because of the way I'm set up as a person, I'm very caring, and I can be overbearing, and I can really, you know, it's still a weakness of mine, struggling for the affirmation of people. There were times where I did realize, hey, you know what? I'm kind of acting like a wife right now and not allowing him to pursue. And I had to back off, you know, of, okay, well, he hasn't texted me this morning, so let me text him, or he hasn't texted me in 2 hours, and just really kind of obsessing over things. I had to honestly recalibrate with the Lord and back off and say, okay, it's his job to pursue. And to be honest, guys, a part of it was a trust issue with the Lord. So I had to say, God, at the end of the day, I trust you. And I don't ever want to be in that place where I'm bound to a man again, controlled by what he does, controlled by if he wants me, if he doesn't want me. And so I'm going to trust you, God. And I'm not going to try to manipulate or force this guy into responding to me, talking to me, doing this or doing that. I'm going to give it to you, God, and really, you know, trust you with it. So sometimes it can even be a trust issue with God, feeling like we have to prove ourselves to men, feeling like we have to, you know, do whatever it takes to keep them there. So I would say it's accountability. It's making sure that you're leaving room for the Holy Spirit. It's making sure that you've been transparent with people so that they can ask the right questions. And then it's also, if you see that you're making a mistake, just saying, okay, let me back up. Because if any of us said that the entire time our courtship was absolutely perfect and we never made an emotional mistake, we never made a mental mistake, we never said the wrong thing, you know, that would be a lie. So there were times where I had to be like, you know what, Monica, like, you're getting a little clingy here. Let's back up and let him pursue you. Let's back up, you know. And so even if you do make a mistake, just understanding that you need to go back to that emotional boundary that kept your heart at bay, so that you are able to walk down the aisle with sobriety, saying, not only do I love you, but like Jamal said, I can love you and I choose you, because after we get married, there will be days where I won't feel like it and I'm going to have to choose it. So all of that, I think, is really important through the process. I think that answers the question. Sorry, I kind of went.
No, that was really, really good. Really, really good. So
I want to jump in really quick and kind of welcome some of our new members that are joining right now. We have hundreds of people that are on the website right now that are checking it out. When I want to do a quick pause and just say, if there's anybody that has any questions, if you're on the fence about TLU, hey, we're here to answer your questions. If you need to know more information, anything like that, we're here to help. But I want to just say hello to Arnaldo, Brittany, Laisha, Jen, Tomika, Chesadia, Thompson, Marielle, Alicia, Kosi, I'm not sure. Oh, Linda, Brittany, Adriana, Caitlin, Jeremy Dixon. Sorry, I said your whole name. So just welcome in. We got a lot more. Rebecca Chavez. You know, a lot more people. I'm reading through your emails. Catherine. I want to say hello to Chandria. I want to say welcome into TOU. Laura Lee, Nick, what's up, man? Welcome to TOU. Thompson. We got more. Tiara. Welcome to TOU. Donald, welcome to TOU. Kayla, if I butcher your name, please, I'm so sorry. All right. Somebody said, OMG, the first guy to say my name right. Oh, sorry. So welcome to TOU. We have a lot more people. Facebook group, y'all be ready. Tonight it's on. We're going to have a whole late night party. When we get off here, we're going to go live and welcome all of our new TOU family. We have a lot more people that are joining. We want to say thank you so much for believing in yourself, believing in you and believing what God is doing in you. But I know there's a lot more. If you're on the fence, please, y'all, there's more than 1,000 people still watching. Just do it and let God handle the rest. That's really it, man. You've seen the stories. You've seen all that you need to see, the benefits. You got to connect with us tonight. What more do you need to see that God is doing a new thing and he wants to do it in your life? Lexie, back it over.
And Jamal, my friend just texted me. Her name is
What'd you say, Lexie?
Her name Valencia. She say, I'm joining now. She joined.
See, it took a minute. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's it. Valencia, what's up, good? Welcome to TOU. All right, we excited to have you in the family, and it's so dope. That's so cool. Welcome, Valencia. All right, Lexi, you got it back on.
All righty. TJ has a question, and he started by saying, I have a question for Jamal. All caps, all caps.
You spell my name right.
Spell your name right.
Come on, somebody.
TJ says, I remember the talk about Ruth and Boaz as it relates to being pursued.
Yes, Lord.
So what if the woman is interested, having a third party connection to him, and he doesn't even know that she exists? How can the man then pursue this woman? What should she do to be seen by him, especially since he lives in a different country?
Ooh. All right, so let me go ahead and give it to you. You know, there's some places, there's some things where, you know, in the concept of forcing God's hand. I know living in another country, that's a whole nother paradigm of situation. We do believe that most people come together because of connection, because of someone else that knew someone else, and they, you know, said, hey, you should get to know her, you should get to know him. And that's where you need to kind of entrust and wait on before you know, if it's another country on a practical end, you got to trust that the other person that knows the other person will connect you to. And if you want to talk to the person that you guys have in common, that you have that third connection, if you want to talk to that person and see if there's something there, or are you wasting your time? Like, am I answering the question right? And so, okay, cool. If you want to talk to that person, that's cool. But I'll be very careful, you know, that you don't want to force it or try to make something happen that's not happening. Because at the end of the day, the principles still apply. I don't care if you're in another country. Me and Natasha was in a whole other state. At the end of the day, if he's going to see you, he's going to see you. And I know when I saw Natasha, I tried to find out who knew her, but I was still interested in her. And I was like, I'm going to make this happen. So that's the thing. You got to trust God. I'll be honest. You got to trust God before you move forward and go through that. In that process, that hopefully that helps. But the one thing I would say is just lean on the other person that knows the man and see if they can make that reference there.
That is good. That is good. Now, this question is for Kenny and Raven. What boundaries do you guys currently have, and how much time do you spend together?
My God. We go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we have good boundaries in place. So we don't do the whole on phone, all types of night type of thing. So you're not gonna catch us on the phone at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. just sitting up breathing in the phone. It just we don't do that. Secondarily, we don't really hang around each other's houses. Kenny doesn't ever come over my house ever because me and my aunt live together, and she just, you know, leaves at will, you know, different things like that. And we just want to make sure that we're not, you know, even though we have good intentions, you just don't want to leave room for the devil. So you just want to make sure that you put those boundaries in place. So he doesn't come over my house. If I do go over his house has more people over it. So there's not ever a time that we'll just be left alone in that sense. But we don't do a lot of just hanging around, you know, each other by ourselves and different things like that. So we make sure that we have those boundaries in place. And then as well, what else?
There are times when temptation can come in, and we've had moments where we're like, hey, we probably need to go home, you know. So we are very cautious about that. So if we just, I think for me, I want to make sure that when when our wedding day comes, it's still pure, and God can be pleased. And I think that if the foundation is good, and of course, I have history, and a sexual past. So, I know what sex feels like and things of that sort. And so we'll talk about that on Saturday. I can't wait to talk to you about just the whole deliverance process and what we had gone through, but we still keep boundaries so that when the wedding day comes, we could fully enjoy without having to, repent later, So we keep boundaries for sure.
Yeah. And then we both have had sexual pasts. So we know that we have to be very careful, even though no matter how much deliverance you've had, no matter how long you've gone without sex, no matter all those things, you still have flesh is flesh. Yeah. So like I said, we'll get more into it in detail to give you more, but you just don't want to ever give room for the devil. So do not do more than you can handle, number one, and be really real with yourself about what you can and cannot handle. So if you got to put some real strict boundaries in place, like super duper strict, then put those super duper strict boundaries in place. And if you feel like you can handle a little bit more, like you can talk till 11 o'clock at night and you'll be good, then you can do that. But you just want to make sure that you be real with yourself. You put those boundaries in place. You measure yourself. Don't try to tempt yourself into anything to say, let me see if I can handle this. No, let's not do that. Just put them in place. Be real with yourself, and just make sure that you're always making sure that your boundaries are not, those walls are not coming down.
And I think that intimacy is good. It of course escalates over time. There are times if we're out somewhere and we spend a lot of time together, like going on dates and stuff like that, or out to eat or something like that after church, because I'm rather busy. I'm pastoring full time, and she's doing other things, and so there might be a time when I might hold it around her waist, but I know that if I'm having a moment, I can't do it for a long time, and so those are the boundaries that we set for sure.
Yeah, and then don't think of intimacy as something that's sexual. When you grow in intimacy, that's growing in conversation. That's growing in being able to talk about your fears. That's growing in being vulnerable and transparent with one another. That's growing in understanding and loving one another. Intimacy does not have to be compared to anything sexual. It's more so you becoming more raw and vulnerable about who you are as a person, communication, building, and different things like that. So, yeah.
I love it. That is so good. I want to answer a quick question from Charity. She says, hey, how long is the whole process through the stages in TOU? So all of the courses are done. And we do have an idea for those that do graduate the course. I won't share that tonight, but basically there's over 30 courses that are comprised into 7 stages. And we found some people complete the stages in 3 months. Some people complete the stages in 1 year. Some people are over a year and still on stage 2. It's all self-paced based upon your schedule. So so if you say, I don't have enough time, no, you're not making time for what's important. That's what you're doing, because what you're finding in TOU is something that's basically saying whatever time you have for me, you can invest into it and get the results out of it. So if that's just 10 minutes a day, we have something called TOU Tuesdays, where some of our TOU members will take Tuesdays to do one course or go through and listen to the courses. It is one of those things where it's only going to work for you if you work it. It's not going to work by just coming in and just thinking you're paying your money and that you're going to get out a man or a woman or be done and be ready for your marriage season. No, it's work, y'all. And I hate to say it like that, but anything that's in this life that's worth it is going to cost you something. And another thing that when it comes to the investment, people always ask us, come on, Natasha, why do y'all charge for this? Why don't y'all make it free? The gospel is free. Well, one of the things you're going to find is that, yes, the gospel is free, but guess what isn't free? When you got to pick up your cross daily and walk with him, that requires your decision-making. It requires your effort. It requires your focus, your discipline. The gospel is free, but to live the gospel out, it costs you something. And the next thing, when it comes to TOU, the investment is requiring something of you so you can make sure you take it serious. The Bible says, you know where a man's heart is by where his treasure is. So this is something that we found in TOU. People investing in it, they take themselves more serious, and their season of singleness more serious. And we've provided everything that you need to do it. And so, so it's up to you how long you want the process to be. But it's no contracts. You can enroll this month. If you think I'm going to just do this for 1 month and try it out and cancel next week, you can, and finish the month out. That's how we roll. People come in and out of TOU, but we got hundreds in here that been in since the day we started it, and they with us till the day. I'll ride or die. What's up? All right, back to you, Lexie.
All righty. Blessed Girl Jess wants Monica to know that she loves her, all caps. So this question is for all of the guys, starting with John and ending with Jamal. I'll start. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. We're gonna start with John and end with Kenneth. So John, was there ever a moment while you were dating Monica, while you guys were courting, that maybe an argument came about and it made you reconsider?
I was gonna say, definitely. There was probably an argument that probably came about and made me question, like, God, like, am I sure? You know, and you got to have those moments, because it's those most difficult moments that make you question, that actually make you more sure of your decision. And so, yeah, there was definitely a moment like that. And I think that one of the greatest, that was actually what made me more sure. There was one time that Monica and I had a disagreement, and actually it was on the night that we had prayer. And I think I was working late or something. I couldn't go to prayer, but Monica had went to prayer, and she came back and she was like, you know what? While we were at prayer, the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and you know, we got it right. And that was one of the moments that I said, that assured me in my heart. I said, the Holy Spirit does talk to her, and the Holy Spirit talks to me, and we can actually move forward after a very big argument or, you know, disagreement. And so, yeah, that was actually, that actually comes up. But then, you know, you become more sure once you find out that you can resolve big conflicts.
Okay. And Kenny?
Okay, sweet. I'm really excited about this question, because the truth is, we've heard that couples have to argue, right? Because they grow in love. But me and Raven have only had one argument. And that was in February of 2017. And it was the day that I bought my brand new car. I bought a sports car, black. I saw it on the showroom floor. And I bought that car, and I was like, this is my dream car. And when I called Raven to tell her that I had the car, she was like, what?
I was like, what?
She was angry because her mind was, she was thinking like, okay, well, how's this man spending his money? And I had to come back, and so it was a big blow up. I stopped talking.
Really big thing. Yeah, we didn't talk for 2 days.
We didn't talk for 2 days. So when we came together, it was like, you know, so I had to let her know, I'm a grown man. I can use my own money and all of this other stuff. And she's like, but you gotta invite me into your decisions. I was like, well, what? I have to invite
you into my decisions.
I've never known that before, right? Especially if this is going to be something that is going to be intentional, and we have the mind of God on this. And so that was new for me. And so she started crying and all this other stuff. So I hung up. But after that moment, I was like, oh my God. Woo, this feels good. I called her back and I was like, I'm so sorry. Let's just talk this through. And for a couple hours,
yeah.
And my heart grew. I mean, from that moment, and so we don't really have arguments now, because we have templates for what that looks like.
Yeah.
We talk things out.
We talk things out really well.
Right. So if it's something that, if I'm having a bad day, and I'm the most moody one in our relationship.
Yeah.
So, and I think because I'm pastoral, I'm burdened a lot. I feel a lot. I think, you know, there are a lot of pieces of my life that are really like, people pull on me a lot. And so Raven is more so, she's more sober than I am in that area. So, yeah, we have those moments where she kind of helps me through. But yeah, I was like, hey, you want to schedule an argument? Like, can we just?
I was like, what?
Can we just find something to argue with? Because we haven't argued since February, and it's just something that we just kind of just talk through.
Yeah, I think our personalities, because we're both natural counselors, and then I'm a counselor as well with my degree by profession. But I think our natural instinct is to talk things out and to understand one another and to be patient with one another and different things like that. So we're not very much so confrontational people where it's like, oh, you know, I'm going head to head. We're very much so, okay, let's talk this out. Let's think about this. I understand why you feel that way. I understand why you know, so.
And the truth is, I know that when we get married, we might have an argument, and we know what we signed up for. We might have a disagreement, you know, whatever. And I might just want to feel like I don't want to leave the house or something like that. Right. And things like that happen. I know things happen in marriage like that. But the truth is, to date, we've only had one argument, and it felt amazing.
He was really happy about it.
It made me want to stay.
At the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, this blessed me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is amazing, guys. I have a question for John. Okay. They like John. I actually have quite a few questions for John. I'm trying to spread them out. I feel like because they asked Monica so many questions, they're like, John is here, let's do it.
The flip side.
Okay, so this person asks, how did you know that your purpose for your life, your destiny, aligned with your wife's purpose? Did you two discuss this before you got married?
That's another good question. In particular, because I talked about how I saw how big Monica's platform was. I saw how she was the youth pastor. I saw how she was on Periscope. That was actually a question that even our pastor, Apostle Stevenson, had even talked to me about and asked me, and he asked me, was I prepared to handle Monica's call? And not only that, I think that even when I was going through that entire process and realizing, everything that was on Monica's life, I think that I was, even considering how do they merge together. And it's interesting because during that process, I went from being single and went from not considering marriage at all to, or I shouldn't say not considering marriage, but being awakened to consider marriage. And I went from that process to actually being in a place where I was now being able to envision Monica as my wife and being able to envision a future with her, being able to envision her as the mother of my children, being able to envision her as being able to support my call and being able to support her call. Monica, the part of the question that my pastor had even asked me was I able to handle the great calling that Monica has? Because Monica's face is on a lot of different things. And even like you said at the beginning of, this session, it was like, well, Monica is probably more well known among TOU more than me. And me, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a humble guy and I am totally okay with that. And I knew that going in. I said, you know what, if Monica has, 1 million people that she's reaching out to and, I'm reaching, 5 or 12, I said, so be it, because I know and I'm confident in what God is doing in my life. And I'm not comparing myself to what God is doing in Monica's life. And then the other thing too, is that Monica has from the beginning has been supportive of my call. She's spoken into my call. One time we were at her house and there were some books on my calling that I had never read. And she was like, you got to read these books. And, I knew that she was supportive of my call. So there was never any question whether she was going to support my call or whether I was able to support her call. There was no comparison. So I was always confident in that. And God started to awaken more in terms of what that was supposed to look like and how that was going to look like going forward.
Okay, that's really good. So this question is geared towards the ladies, but I kind of want the men to give feedback on it as well, because it's always awesome to have a man's point of view. So this question is, what do you do if you have a crush on someone and they are constantly around you? Like you have no idea why they're always around you. You think they have a crush on you, but he had said absolutely nothing to make me believe. So if I show too much of my personality and people assume that I'm pushing up against him, I don't want him to think or be able to say, I never told her anything. What should I do in this situation? I like him. Well, yes, I like him. I think he likes me. He's showing me signs, but he has not said anything.
You pray this one prayer. Lord, teach me how to keep my heart still. It's because if your heart is wandering, you'll always try to, figure out what's going on, and you could make the biggest mistake of your life, getting yourself hurt, and it might not be the right thing, right? So you pray, Lord, teach me how to keep my heart still. So even if that person is flirtatious, it could be their personality. It doesn't mean that they really like you, right? It could be that they have something operating on the inside of them. Maybe they need people or they are needy, right? But you ask the Lord to teach you how to be still. And when he teaches you how to be still, if it is right, trust me, believe me, it's going to come at the right time. And if your heart is still in the moment that it comes, your heart will be still through the process.
I think also for women, Honestly, you don't need to do anything because you're the one that's supposed to be pursued. So if a man has not come to you and say, "Hey, I'm pursuing you. These are my intentions. I want to get to know you. Let's go on a date," it's like, "Can we exchange phone or something?" If he has not said anything specifically to you to say, "Hey, this is my intentions and I want to move forward getting to know you," then as a woman, you just continue to position yourself. You don't do anything outrageous. You don't become extremely flirtatious. You don't try to get his attention by being, flamboyant or whatever, trying to, draw more attention to yourself or anything like that. You just allow the man to pursue you. If it seems like he's flirting and he hasn't said that he's flirting or he wants to get to know you, then let it just continue to seem that way. Don't allow your heart to grow in expectation. Don't allow yourself to go into fantasy land and start planning your dates with that person, planning your marriage with that person. Don't do any of those things, because then you're gonna set yourself up for failure or letdown or heartbreaker or something like that, because he could very well have no intention of getting to know you. That's just the truth of the matter. And as women, we become so consumed with, "Oh my God, he slept by me today," or "Oh my God, he looked my way today," different things like that. But don't allow your heart to begin to wander. Like you said, make sure that your heart is still. You don't want it to begin to wander, because you want to make sure that whatever is happening in that environment, that you don't take it on as something that is not.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I would say, just to add on to what Raven said, I love that. And even what Kenny said, just about being still, I understand even during my single season, it was funny because I think that Natasha, Raven, and I just had a conversation about this the other day. Like, did you ever have a crush, when you were during our single seasons? And we all said yes. And I remember, even like thinking a guy was cute and I had seen him at a conference. But my thing was like the thing that I always repeated to myself in my head was this: it's none of my business until that guy makes it my business. So I wasn't going to go off into fantasy land in my head. I wasn't going to pursue him. I wasn't going to say anything, because you can find yourself obsessed with, how can I get closer to him? How can I make myself noticeable? How can I talk to someone he's talking to? How can I make sure I look good when he comes around? And all of that obsession really distracts you from, the focus of your season in that moment. So I always told myself, it's none of my business until that guy makes it my business. And the honest thing is, ladies, sometimes we think it's okay to push things along. And trust me, they're saying, be approachable. Smile. If he has conversation with you, help carry the conversation. But the honest truth is that we think if we push it along, that from there it will be okay. But what you have to understand is that God created men by nature to be men who pursue and to be pursuers. So when you start out a relationship pursuing, what you're going to quickly find is, for that relationship to continue, you're going to have to constantly pursue. So you made yourself the pursuer in that moment. And a God-ordained marriage covenant is for the man to be the leader and the husband. So when you push yourself and bombard yourself into a role you were never created to carry, what's going to happen is, as the relationship progresses, you're going to find yourself carrying a role that, quite frankly, God didn't create you to be in. And so you're going to be failing. The relationship's going to be failing, and it's not going to be good, because God is a God of order, and he is the head. The man is under him and the female is under him. And so when you bombard your way in and begin pursuing and begin leading, don't look up 4 months from now and start complaining to your girlfriends that, well, why do I have to lead him spiritually? And why do I feel like I don't know what's going on in the relationship? Well, ma'am, quite frankly, maybe the guy was interested in you, but was in the watching season. Like Jamal was in for 9 months. John was in for 6 months. Kenny was in for 6 months. Whatever that watching process was, don't bombard on that man's schedule. Because the thing is that a promise can be your promise, but when you come upon it prematurely, you can destroy it. You have to be processed to handle that promise. So don't bombard on something prematurely, because you could ruin a good thing. So if it's meant to be a good thing, it will come to pass. And if it doesn't come to pass, it was never a good thing. So you have to trust God. You have to trust the process, and don't push yourself into a place that you may be ready for, but he may not be, because you both need to be ready. And you don't want to get in that habit of being the leader and being the pursuer, because then you're going to look up one day and be upset and complain that you're doing it. So don't do it. Just don't do it.
Let me add to that as well. From the female perspective, I think it's really important as females that we learn patience.
Yeah.
Season, because if not, when you get in these relationships, you're going to become anxious. And when you get in marriage, you're going to become anxious. So you need to be able to build yourself in patience as a single woman, not going before the man, because honestly, he's going to be be the decision maker in a lot of things. And he has to be the one that leads you. So you have to be able to grow in patience now and not be so anxious for someone to look at you, someone to talk to you, someone to approach you. You have to be able to let him decide when he's going to approach you. Let him decide when the first point of contact is going to be, first point of conversation is going to be. Because you can grow in patience in your singleness. When you cross over to courtship and you cross over to marriage, you'll be able to already have a strength and a muscle in patience and not be anxious all the time about, when is he going to do this? That thing is going to be birthed in your future relationships if you don't take care of it as a single person. And that is one of the benefits of being single, because you can grow in the characteristics and you can grow in the traits and the aspects that you need to be to have a fruitful and successful marriage.
That's good.
And I was going to say that from a guy's perspective, if you are a woman that is pressing upon a guy, you could be interrupting the test that God has him going through. So the time of watching is not just a time of it's not just a time where he's watching another woman, where he's testing her. It's actually a time where he's being tested by God to even be intentional. And so if you do that, you can interrupt a test that he's going through, even with God, to break past a whole lot of things that are going on with him. And the other thing is that you don't know what type of guy that he is. And the reason why that is because the right type of guy is going to pass the test that God has him going through. So if you interrupt the test, then you don't know if he's passed the test or not. And so, I can just remember, just being that guy, who, if you kind of like hung around, I would come to two conclusions. Either I would really like you, or I would try to see how far this is going to go without me having to put forth any effort. And that is failing the test. That is the type of guy that fails the test. The type of guy that says, you know what, I'm gonna see what I can get out of it. And you know what, if you're gonna give it, then I'm gonna take it. So, you don't want to interrupt the test. And then it gives you a chance to see, is he the type of guy to pass this thing or to pass this test that God has him going through in the watching season?
That was an amazing answer. Okay, for the guys, and I'm going to read this how it's written. Bro. Starts off by saying, bro, I love God. I've been saved for 2 years, and I've become friends with a woman that is, quite frankly, amazingly mind-blowing to me. I have no idea what to say to her, bro. Bro, help me, bro.
First of all, pray for courage. Because if you don't pray for courage now, you won't have courage in the relationship. Pray for courage. Lord, give me courage to say something. Give me courage to move, take a step to move. Wait until God gives you peace and courage. Once God gives you that courage and you feel you mustered it up, you feel that move, then move. And you say to her, hey, I've been watching you for a minute. I just want to know, just on a friend basis, can I take you out for some coffee? Do you like coffee, or, whatever you like, maybe lunch or something like that, whenever you're free? If she says no, walk away. If you still want to pursue it, you find another time and say, I know last time you told me no, I really would like to take you out for lunch. And she say, I told you no, go back, and you take that, you submit that moment to the Lord. When you submit that moment to the Lord, you ask for more courage.
Yeah.
Go back again. That's what pursuit looks like. And
Yeah.
then you say, hey, I know you said no last time. You may not like me. Just give me, let me go to lunch with you. I'll pay for everything. Just hear me out. Boom. There you go. And if you go out to lunch with her, don't be awkward. Tell her what you're there for. Ask her what she likes to do. Get to know her. What's her favorite color? What does she do? Don't let it be your first date or the first moment, because it might not be a date, right? Don't think that the first time you go out with that person, it's a date. If in fact you go out with that person, you need to get to know that person. Hey, I'm just here. I just want to get to know you. I thought you were absolutely amazing. I've been watching you from afar. Tell me, what do you do? Spark up some conversation. And if she's very uncomfortable, you make her comfortable. You just start saying other stuff like, hey, my grandfather used to, cracking jokes. Or, my grandfather used to make plum jelly. You know anybody that makes plum jelly? You know, it might be awkward, but it might lead to something else.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you know, because this guy is already friends with her, so obviously, you know, you have a relationship with her. I don't know, you know, what the interactions or where the interactions are, but you know, Kenny said pray for courage. I say pray for opportunity too, you know, because the opportunity to say the right thing will make a big difference. But the thing that you're trying to do is get from the friend zone, or you don't even know if she's put you in the friend zone, but you know, you're still exploring, you know, so that's going to have to come with some, like Kenny said, some courage, and you have to be a little bit straightforward, but a little bit of humor also helps it out, you know. So, you know, you want to have that conversation, you know, in terms of, you know, making things clear between you and her, and asking her, you know, what would she think if you felt this a particular way?
Yeah, and pray for her. You know, she might have some fears. She's probably fresh out of an old relationship or been hurt really badly. So you need to pray for her. She might be bubbly, but there might be something still in her, right? That's still pushing back. So you want to pray for her. You know, pray the right prayers, Father. Whatever is blocking her from saying yes, and if she doesn't like me, that's fine. But if it's something like fear or rejection or whatever that is, Lord, we just send peace, open the opportunity, give me courage to move forward, to say something, and then make that move. Why? You want to do something. If it's God, just do it in fear, bro. Do it in fear, bro.
Do it.
Do it, bro.
Pray first.
Bro said, I love God. I was like, okay, love him, bro. Love him. So this question is regarding engaged couples. Mm-hmm. So it says, for couples engaged and they see that the temptation is really high, like really, really high, why can't they just get married sooner by the court, or have a small ceremony with just the couple and the pastor and maybe a few loved ones to prevent from falling before their official wedding date?
That's up to them.
Yeah.
That's on that couple. That's on that person.
Yeah.
For some of us, sometimes temptation gets really high. The reason why we chose a date, and actually we're not going to put our date out there, but we are 6 months out to getting married. And the reason why we're not doing it right away is because we're saving our money, making sure our credit is right, making sure we find the right apartment, right, making sure that we talk about, you know, budgeting already, make sure that things are in line until that moment. Also, at our church, John and Monica know, Jamal and Natasha know, there's a 6-month period. So Raven and I are getting ready to enter into our marriage counseling, right? Yeah. You don't get married before you get counseling. You need counseling. I don't care how much you have sex before you get married. Sex can come later and it'll be good. And guess what? The truth is, even if you all are ready for sex, you still have to learn how to do sex the right way. You got to get to know each other's bodies and how, you know, what they like and things of that sort. So that's all type of stuff that you have to learn even in marriage. But counseling is it's real. So you need to know what you don't like about each other. You need to know what you do like about each other. What do you love about each other? These are the things that make you stay when you get married. So you need to have those periods of counseling.
Yeah.
That's why it's important.
Yeah, I think that it just depends on the people. If you feel like you want to get married in a month, you know, and you want to go to counseling every week, you know, different things like that, it just depends. But you want to make sure that it's not based on, you know, hey, they did it in 6 months, so we got to do it in 6 months. Oh, well, they did it in 4 months, we got to do it in 4 months. I think that's a personal thing, but I think you just have to have certain things in place as well. You don't want to rush into anything just because you're hot and heavy. And if you're really that much hot and heavy, there may be a deliverance thing that you may want to go through, because if you can't keep yourself, you know, if you feel like it's that much raging in you, you may want to take some time out to go through some deliverance and work through some issues that you may be having within yourself before you cross into marriage, because lust does not go away just because you get married. So if there's already an issue with lust, and there's already things that's raging and you haven't dealt with those things, you want to deal with that before you enter into covenant. You really do.
Bro, what are you going to do when your wife is, after she has the baby, you have to go those 6 weeks without doing anything, right? So you need to learn that. You need to learn that period. What does it look like not to do anything? Do not get married without counseling.
Who taught you that, Kenny?
Listen, bro. we know. Don't get married without counseling. You need that.
You need
and
counseling.
If you are burning, get a community.
Yeah.
Get into your youth. Get a community where somebody you can tell somebody, hey, I called Jamal the other day and I was like, hey bro, I need you today. And he's like, all right, bro, I'm here, bro. What do you need? Right? I was like, man, check on me at 2 p.m. Why? Because that's what community does. You need that. Don't get married because you're burning. Get counseling first and then get married.
Yeah.
Amen.
That is really, really good. Dude, I didn't know if someone else wanted to jump in on that. That is so good. A lot of people wanted to know for the couples, how do you feel about your spouse having friends of the opposite sex?
I am totally I trust Raven. And the thing about it is it's a trust thing. I can
I don't really like talking detail. I don't really care.
No, we don't care. Like, okay, so I see a lot of people every week. There are women that are hugging on me. I have makeup stains on my shirt after church, right? I'm a pastor. Yeah. I love people, right? And I have the right intentions. And Raven's fine. She's like, that's just how people are. I'm Pastor Kenny, right? I deal with deep things. I'm a counselor. I counsel full time at church, right? So Raven's fine with that. I'm okay if she had other guy friends because I trust her. It's just something built. I know that she loves me. She knows that I loves her. I loves her. I love her. And so it's just a communication thing that we built with each other.
Because I have brothers, he has like sisters, different things like that. But it's all about boundaries. Like you want to make sure that even in any type of friendship that you have, hey, that's my bro, that's my sis. I might text someone, they may text me, different things like that. But just always an understanding of I am in a relationship, this is nothing more. You are bro, you are sis. No one's being disrespectful. No one's being, trying to take that person's place. Different things like that. If he's connected to anyone that I feel like is no good, I'm going to tell him, hey, that's not going to work for me. You know what I mean? Like I would be honest with him and be like, I see this, I see that, and I don't think this is going to be a good relationship for you to, have with that person. But I mean, we trust each other. We're very honest with each other. So it's the nature of ministry as well. Just the nature of ministry. You're going to come in, you're going to have different people that you talk to. So ministry and business. So
I was going to say there's interaction and there's intimacy, and you can interact with a lot of people, but you're going to be intimate with me. So,
that is something that you can remind yourself. Like I agree too, especially like all of his friends that he's in contact with, all the friends that I have, I actually have a relationship with them and they know of me. And so my thing is like how Raven was talking about boundaries, you guys communicating. So I believe if communication is there and you guys have the freedom to express, your opinions of others and kind of discuss things and see if this, friendship works in your relationship, I think you can definitely have it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that my perspective is that you don't have a friend that we don't have. So if she's your friend, she's our friend. And if she's not interested in getting to know me, or if she wants to have a relationship with you that doesn't involve me, then that's when it becomes inappropriate. So I know he has, female coworkers, I know he has, John can make a friend out of anybody. I know we'll be walking down the street and it'll be an old high school friend or whatever. So as long as they're interested in both of you, I don't see the problem there. Now, of course, they may be closer to one of you, but I think it's important that the person is interested in having a relationship with both of you and that they're not like, well, I don't care. I don't want to get to know them. So if I had any friends prior to us getting married that didn't want to, try to have a relationship with both of us, get to know both of us, then that right there to me will be a red flag. And I wouldn't be interested in that. And even when
a lot of people just randomly they know me from different places traveling and a lot of women. So when they come, I always introduce them to Raven.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Always. Why? Because you never ever want to leave that door open. Whereas you having a conversation, but you've never introduced them because it almost says you have no value. Mm-hmm. But if you introduce her, she has value, and that other person knows that.
I know, and that's so good. Just to kind of begin to bring this thing into a close, it's getting about 10:30, and we've had, a pretty extremely long day just getting ready for tonight, and we've been so blessed being able to share with you guys, and I'm sure many of you, there's still almost more than 800 of you still watching, and that's amazing, and that shows that the information that we're giving tonight is needed. I know for those of you on the East Coast, it's 11:30, it's almost midnight, and you're still soaking this knowledge up. I want to tell you, it does not have to end. To the 100 plus of you that joined tonight, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to the One University, and I want to welcome to this new journey. But there are still hundreds of you that have not made a decision, and we want to say tonight, make a decision. There comes a time we have to make a call, and we want to encourage you to make the right decision. What is God saying to you? Obey God and trust Him. And one of the things that I've learned is that sometimes you just got to just do things by faith, and look at your life and evaluate. If you know that you have a hole and you need more investment and development, this is the opportunity to do so. So I'm excited. We have plenty of opportunity. If you don't join tonight, we are going to leave the fast action bonuses available until midnight. All right. So you can be able to take your time once you get off the call. But basically, this is it, guys. 10:30. If you haven't joined TOU, we'll see you in 2018 when we open the doors again for our next opportunity to enroll. The last thing I want to tell you is this, man. Don't go the holiday season alone. If you don't join TOU, please get some friends. Please get some community. Please, so you can make it through this holiday season, able to not be tempted and moved to do things that you regret. All right. We love you guys. We're so blessed. The website is marriedandyoung.com/TOU. Like I said, the fast action bonuses. If you enroll tonight, you're still going to get Dr. Matthew Stevenson's session. You're going to get Ribble Sabat. You're going to get Real Talk Kim session. You're going to get Real Talk Jerry and Tanisha Flower session, and you're going to get TOSC 2016, all 15 sessions, and you get the online conference in 2028 on Saturday. All right, and so I'm sleepy, y'all. It's real over here. All right, so we're so blessed, though. We're so blessed. Thank y'all so much. How many of you haven't joined yet, but you're waiting for that payment to drop tomorrow, and you're going to join tomorrow? How many of you, that is you? That is on the fence? You're like, I'm gonna wait till I get that. I'm waiting and willing to join. I love it. All right, good stuff. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We love you guys again. We'll see you, and bye. Thank y'all. Thank you, Lexie, for hosting us.
Bye.
Thank you, and Raven, for being a part of this. Thank you, John and Monica, for making time for this. We love you guys. We honor what God's doing in your relationships, and we're so grateful to have you in our lives. Hey guys, if you're joining TOU, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Oh, PES, we are launching a TOU app. All right, so for those of you who are asking, hey, can I watch this on my phone? Yes, the app will be coming in just a few weeks. So if you join, you get access to that. And you guys will be the first ones to get access to this. So the app is being developed. We got screenshots today of the app, and it's amazing. You're going to be able to have devotionals. We're going to be having Bible studies on there. We're going to be having all our TOU courses, the forum, everything on there. So it's going to be dope. So you can be able to do community right on the app and not have to go on your desktop or go into the thing. So we move into the future. All right, moving to the future. So I love you guys so much. I'm gonna go because I'm hungry too. I'm sleepy. I'm hungry, and God has been good. And my wife is beautiful. She got her hair did and stuff. My God, thank you, Father, Lord. Thank you, Jesus, Father God.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, guys. Any last remarks?
Bye.
See you later.
So long. No.
Bye, Q.
Yes. Join us tomorrow, 8 a.m.
All right, guys, we're gonna send out the replay of this in the morning. You got something? We're gonna send a replay of this in the morning. All right, guys, we out of here.
All right, love y'all.
I gotta go get a haircut in the morning. See, y'all look happy over here.
Right.
Oh God, Jesus. Can you get a note, please?
So long, bye-bye.
Jamal, why you ask me?
Why you ain't John? Why you ain't John?
For that reason right there. That reason.
Give it to us, John. Give it to us.
No, John, go ahead. John, go ahead, man.
Next time, tomorrow.
All right, guys. Can we y'all want to pray?
I'm so tired.
Kitty always want to pray.
Y'all ready to pray?
Amen. Amen.
Amen. All right, praise God. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Father, we bless them, Lord, and we say that you will keep them in perfect
In
peace,
Jesus' name.
and that you will